Any time an offense occurs anywhere in the country, it is the job of the Inspector General to look into it. Whether it's corruption, whether it's murder, whether it's petty, that is his job.
If we have chosen to be a corrupt nation, then we produce corrupt leaders. Everything then becomes chaotic that you cannot be able to change a nation.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
You tune into Kenya's biggest conversation. My name is Ramanyang.
Amen.
So 1 hour is over?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
It gets over.
Can you imagine
in 20 minutes?
what the big boys have also done?
I'm very proud of myself. When you understand about partnership in politics, it's like the way marriage is these days. When you're looking for a wife, you're like, oh, maybe you can help me pay for fees as I pay for the rent.
Why should you have a lioness living in your bedroom?
I have to tell you a story. I went for a prayer meeting, which was called for the spouses of candidates for senators and governors. And when I got to the gate, the lady who was the secretary, she refused to. She's telling me, no. Leo tunataka wa mama. Leo ni wa mama. I'm telling her, no. She said, no, sio siku yenu. And I thought, there's a problem here, because if it was a man, but this was a lady.
It will be called First Ladies until you change the name.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
A new day and nothing much happening on traffic across the city. But now that yesterday was a public holiday, there's some people who have continued. Yesterday was Friday, today is Friday, tomorrow is Saturday, and then Sunday, and then Monday. So let's see how it will be looking like in about 1.5 hours' time, right?
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is The Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Good morning. How are you doing? Welcome to Friday. If you're just joining us and you were not able to join us yesterday because you were, planting trees, welcome back. The conversations continue. Happy Friday, Anki Doris.
Eric, I actually have a song for you.
Oh, come on, Twendele. Sasa, this is how you start a Friday. City?
Yeah.
Attention. Okay.
Na atanike umwa wenu na nitibu wangu dakitari kukupenda ni wajibu nisiulize maswali baby nipe taratibu utamu asali kukupenda ni wajibu nisiulizwe no Siti kwako tangangana nawe.
That song is very interesting and very suggestive.
Suggestive? No, it says I will fight for the love.
Mimi nimesikia nisiulize nono. Okay.
No.
Mimi sitauliza nono.
City though. Can we have a good Friday? Your interpretation yako ni gani, City?
Did I make this up, Eric? Did you not hear it?
It's a lovely song. Is that what you heard?
No, I like the song.
Okay.
I actually like the song.
Yeah, I've been listening to that song like for the whole week, so yeah. It's a very good song.
So you listen, no.
No, I didn't. No.
Yes. Now you listen to Tangangana now.
Oh man, I will not sing again.
You do not know that's a hit.
It is?
Oh, it's a hit. Me, I love the
no,
song.
no.
Yes.
No.
Very good.
Anyway, good morning. It's good to be here. Tobaya sana.
Ay. Sawa Siti. Na Siti uko sawa sinio?
Mimi niko maridadi.
Very good. Yes, clearly. Thank you.
No, you said it way after. I'm not taking it.
Thank you. Sana. We'll love the song.
No. Ndu should come back. She'd back me up here. She'd be like, she'd sing along. She'd enjoy it. She'd vibe with me. Ndu, I miss you.
Sawa. Okay, so let me tell you what we shall discuss today. It's Friday, so we always have a Health Friday conversation. And today's Health Friday conversation will be around World Hospice and Palliative Care Day, which will be on a Sunday. How are we doing? We'll be joined by the chairperson of the National Cancer Institute, Dr. Timothy Olwenyi, at 8 a.m. for that conversation. At 9 o'clock, we shall talk about innovation and culinary heritage. Culinary heritage and modern innovation, celebrating Africa's culinary odyssey. Dr. Abbas Goulet, you know him, yeah? Currently, he's the CEO of the Boma Pan-African Limited and the director of the Boma International Hospitality College. You know that one, eh? Those guys have actually taken over. They are the ones. The Boma Hospitality College, they are doing what Utalii should have been doing. And so he's the CEO. He'll come and talk to us because they are doing something called Ladha za Africa. And he'll tell us what this is all about, but also tell us all about the Boma Hospitality College and the Boma Hotels and that arm of Boma. At 7 a.m., we will talk about UN Women's Strategy, making every woman and girl count. This is because the International Day of the Girl Child is here upon us, and because of that, we shall have this conversation with three people who will be joining us, okay, two at a time. One of them is Joshua Musimi. He's a program specialist for gender statistics at UN Women. Sylvia Maina is a regional gender statistics communications specialist at UN Women, and Doris Munyinge is a program manager for women leadership and governance at Groots Kenya. Those three join us at 7 a.m. for our conversation. See, that sounds like a very good way to end the week.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
with some good conversations, right? Good conversations that actually do matter. Okay, so let's take a look at the weather forecast, and then we'll take a look at the headlines in the papers. Before that, we shall hear today's proverb. Are you online? People are online. Many of them. King Devil Bali says, I love Anki. She has the greatest vibe ever.
I love you.
Say
right
hello to CT Eric and Anki Doris, who's our guest host this week.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. The weather with SpiceFM.
It's going to be a cloudy day in Nairobi, mostly cloudy at present at 15. Mombasa, partly sunny at 24. Malindi, sunny at 26. Kakamega, mostly cloudy at 17. Eldoret, clear skies at 13. It's clear as well in Nakuru at 13. It's cloudy in Nyeri at 15. It's cloudy in Kisumu at 19. Kampala is cloudy at 17. Kinshasa is clear skies at 25. It's cloudy in Mogadishu at 26. Cloudy in Addis Ababa at 13. Cloudy in Lagos at 26. Clear skies in Johannesburg at 16. Clear in Kinshasa, like we said, at 25. Paris, cloudy at 8. London, cloudy at 5. New York, clear skies at 10. And Beijing, sunny at 19.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Hiya, let me tell you who's online. People are online. Bonnie and I says good morning, keeping it locked from Thika Makongeni. Good morning, Latiff City and Anki. Eric War says that. Jimmy Wekesa says good morning from Munich, Germany. Robinson Kisero from Hong Kong. What a lovely voice. He's calling you Auntie. Auntie Doris. Lovely voice.
Oh,
Ben
thank
Mola
you.
says, I love that lady's voice. So sweet. Please sing again. Come up with another song.
And then what's
Another
gonna
one.
happen with City after I sing?
Well, he'll hear his own things. Irene Wairimu says good morning as well. Kim says good morning. Rachel for DP position. Surely. Dennis Karaoke, good morning. Our guest host really sounds like Ndu. Should come more often.
Oh.
Pia ni muimbaji.
Latiff.
Dennis Karaoke anasema pia ni muimbaji. Dangote Kilonzo, good morning to you. Eric City and Murembo was SpiceFM. Tuned in from Lower Lavington. Karo Nyambura, good morning. Douglas Kibogo, Tibbs Muga, good morning. Mofrika Kev, morning the city. Eric and Ankidoris, good morning. Wanjiro, Michael Olande, poor Kenyan, proud Kenyan. Don Sabwa, the much hyped public participation was not chaotic but was a referendum. Kula half term, 1 term, or 3 quarters. How are you, City and Eric? Sisi tuko poa. Na Ankidoris pia hako poa. Vesh Musanga, good morning. Tuned in from Arusha. Wait, come up with a song by the time we finish. Before the proverb.
Real?
Before the proverb. Belt something. Serenade us. It's a Friday. Agola, good morning, people. Robert Mbogo, good morning. Sylvester Chengo, Edwin Kahora, Vesh Musanga, tuned in from Arusha. Tibbs Muge is locked, of course, as always. All of you people, we acknowledge your presence and we love you very much. Christopher Shero, Elvas Kirando, good morning, Wadao, H. Mwangi, Mildred Oumbo, good morning, locked in from Kisumu. Sir George Gashuri is also in. Eric War is in. Volume Ikochini. Lydiah. Eric War anasema volume Ikochini. Ni yake ama ni yetu? Kat anasema in number 3 to CBD. Anki. Lovely voice.
Oh.
Go.
Can I repeat the same song though?
Okay.
Because it's my favorite.
Repeat the same song.
This time I'm dedicating it to CT. CT fine, it's not to you though. But I can do this for Avin?
No.
For
do it
CT.
for CT.
Okay. I hope I get the words right this time. Chicka, plow. All right. DJ, pull up selector. Nakama. Okay. Na hata nikiumwa wendo na nitibu. Wangu dakitari. Kukupenda ni wajibu. Nisiulizwe maswali. Baby, nipe taratibu. Utamu wasa. City, I don't like the facial expressions on your face.
No, I am listening very keenly.
All right.
Yes.
Baby, nipe taratibu. Utamu wasali. Kukupenda ni wajibu. Nisiulizwe. No. Kwa kuntangangana. Tangangana nawe.
Yes.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very good. City. Now after all that serenation, surely tupatie proverb inakaa the same way.
A very good song. Very, very good song. I listened very keenly so that I cannot be told that I have misheard. Yes.
Na ukasikia usiulizwe no.
Daktari nitibu.
Pewa taratibu.
Mpatie shindano. Right. They begin as neighbors and end up as mice.
They begin as neighbors and end up as
mice.
They begin as neighbors and end up as mice.
Yes.
Mice ya panya.
Mice ya panya.
Hiyo ni alamu ya Ankidoris inalia. Okay. It was for her to sing.
Well said.
It was well said.
Very well
said.
said.
They begin as neighbors and end up as mice.
Yes.
What? This is going to be an interesting one.
This one is absolutely interesting.
This one is an interesting
one. Hata mimi
one.
nilifikiria nikasema hii.
Hey. Let's wait for it. Okay. So Anki will come and tell us what's in the Standard. Let me tell you what's in the Daily Nation today. Today, Daily Nation have what we call vuta stuli. Vuta stuli, nikupe story.
Njoo, karibia.
Niko na uhondo.
Yes.
Uhondo in the Daily Nation today.
Nikueleze.
The Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua received an important call on Monday morning as he was preparing for his address to the National Assembly during his impeachment proceedings. The following day, on the line was his boss, President William Ruto. It took less than a minute for the president to pass his message, and at the end of the call, it was clear to the DP that he was on his own. According to sources privy to the discussions, President Ruto is said his deputy had estranged most MPs with his abrasiveness. He also accused Gachagua of fighting government policies and not publicizing projects being implemented in Mount Kenya. But even more grave, the president is reported to have alluded to a scheme by his deputy that was the source of their irreconcilable differences. It took less than a minute, that call, but the nation has been able to piece together the words of the person on the other end of the call, who happens to have been William Ruto. Hey! Vuta Stuli, page 4 of The Nation today. Okay, the other headlines. More than half of private hospitals are yet to register on SHA portal. Oh my goodness. Only 42% of private hospitals in the country have fully transitioned to the Social Health Authority portal, leaving a majority of the premium health facilities out of the new insurance plan. A survey conducted by the Rural, Urban and Private Hospitals Association, RUPA, yesterday indicated that 75% of the transitioned private hospitals are able to access the new system, whose rollout has been characterized by technical hitches. RUPA has rated the success rate for registration and patient verification at 50%, adding that the incorrect details of family member registration remains a problem. Well, they're at 50%. And 75% of the hospitals that are already registered are able to access the system. Okay. All right. They're working. Page 3 revealed taxi driver was beaten and strangled. Mombasa taxi driver Victoria Mumbua Moloki was repeatedly hit with a blunt object on the head before being strangled. A post-mortem report shows. This is a very, very sad story. And to commemorate the International Day of the Girl Child, from rural villages to urban schools, these 8 young women are defying societal norms and cultural barriers to pursue their dreams in fields ranging from medicine to technology. Despite facing challenges like poverty, early marriage, and gender stereotypes, they demonstrate remarkable resilience, using education and technology as tools to shape their futures and inspire their communities. Special 12-page pullout inside the Daily Nation today, Voices of the Future. They are featuring these 8 girls: Victoria Kenya, Lucindunge, Angela Tukey, Elizabeth Cassidy, Cecilia Ekeno, Gaida Abdallah, Irina Kini, and Esther Murijo. That's what's in the Daily Nation today. What's in the Standard, Anki?
On the front page of the Standard, of course, that is the bold newspaper, and quite similar to what you just brought on the front page of the Daily Nation. Gachagua makes the headlines. Deputy President fight back inside Karen Nerve Center. Interesting headline. And after shock impeachment by members of parliament and an impending Senate trial, Rigathi Gachagua has hunkered down in his Karen residence with the best political, legal and communication minds to fine-tune his arsenal that involves an aggressive defense and offensive in parliament, courts and political arena. This too is detailed on page 4 of the Standard. You're endangering Kenyans' lives, ministry now told. A pathologist tells courts that the Ministry of Health is risking lives of patients by procuring less sensitive but expensive HIV testing kits. You're endangering Kenyans' lives. All right, schools' financial crisis threatens national examinations. That is, of course, detailed on page 2 of the Standard. Just a bit of detail here. Head teachers are warning that a looming financial crisis in schools could disrupt the KCSE and KPSEA national examinations set to begin in 3 weeks. Yesterday, principals warned that without government support, things may grind to a halt, potentially affecting the over 2.2 million candidates. And for how long have we spoken about this? Disaster in waiting. There we go now on page 2. Very, very sad. Business. YKRA is targeting M-Pesa, till and pay bill. On page 19. And we also have the very special pullout today, Koala Napenda Entertainment. The Pulse pullout is right there to grab in the Standard newspaper, but also look at what is happening on Matters Tennis on the sports page 32. But really, Matters Health, Matters Education, make a cocktail on the front page of the Standard, together with the hot topic of the Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua's fight back inside the Karen Nerve Center. That's it for the Standard.
Very good. City?
Yes.
The Star.
Yes. Today, being Friday, there is a siasa pullout. So there is no tail green, right-hand corner. Right-hand corner is still there, but it's burnt brown, as I call it.
Okay.
NHIF to SHA, promising journey to universal health coverage. Will the next Mount Kenya leader stand up? This is in the siasa columns. Okay.
What happened to the other one? Has he left?
I'm not. This is a
Has
story
he abdicated?
I am not even certain about this definition. I'm not certain. Okay, who was the kingpin?
Sigei told us.
Who is the kingpin?
Sigei told us it is Uhuru.
There's Uhuru. Does he understand that he is the kingpin?
Good question.
Does he agree? You have to accept your kingpin. You can't be kingpin if you have not accepted. Aisuru, she will know in good. Sawa. How Kenya Kwanza election left polled. Okay. How Kenya Kwanza election poll deal left political bigwigs empty-handed. Yes. The story here is talking about people who joined the coalition and belonged to smaller parties. The people who are being mentioned here, there's a gentleman called William Kabogo, and there's a gentleman who is called Martin Wambora. Okay, William Kabogo's party is called Tujibebe wa Kenya Party. I like the name of that party.
Tujibebe
wa Kenya, you carry yourself. Okay, that is the whole point that they're making. Yes, it emerged, according to this article, that the deal they signed didn't quite go their way. The promise was that they would get certain plum postings or they'd get plum jobs as part of the agreement. That didn't happen.
They had to deliver something, didn't they?
I suspect they did.
Okay.
But this is politics and this is life. Okay. Sometimes if you have an audience, the presence every once in a while, that is what you've got. So be grateful.
Yeah.
Other people don't have it. All right? Good. Clash looms over new bill barring unions from collecting agency fees.
All right.
Okay?
All right.
So let the clash loom. Okay?
Yeah, let it loom.
Okay, yes. When it has loomed adequately, we will know, right? Remember the story of this taxi driver, Victoria Muloki, who...
Very sad.
This one is tragically sad. Tragically.
Terrible.
Anyway, according to the article on page 16, she was battered before being strangled to death. The autopsy results now show. Anyway, bang in the middle of the paper, Mount Kenya MPs ditched Gachagua at key hour. 40 lawmakers voted for his impeachment, with only 19 voting against the motion. Okay?
19 Mount Kenya leaders.
Only 19
against,
MPs voted.
40 voted for.
Yes, they said, let him be impeached. 19 said, let him not be impeached.
And they come from Murima.
They come from Mount Kenya.
Okay.
And the Star even goes to list the names. Yes.
Great.
We have visitors visiting us. The Haiti Prime Minister, Haiti.
Yeah.
For those who don't know, Haiti. So when I say Haiti, I'm referring to Haiti. Yes. The country next to the Dominican Republic. It's one huge island. Dominican on one side, thriving, etc. Haiti on the other side, an epitome of chaos below. Okay, that one. The PM is visiting Kenya.
All right.
He's hoping to garner more support to contain the gangs. All right?
Okay.
Yes.
Apewe chai tupelekee watu wetu huko.
Hata sisi wajua tuliwatumia tu gangs zetu pia.
Apewe ni vijana abebe unga. Hiyo ndege kirudi iwe full.
Kabisa.
Unga abebe ngwashe.
Haizi kuja tu hapa ni Afrika, utembee mikono na gazeti na maji ya kunywa.
Our boys there need to eat Kenyan food bwana.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Atumwe.
Abebe.
Wakona ng'ombe. Watume nanio ambaye anajua kuchoma nyama vizuri.
Lazima wamemiss.
No, they have to send someone who knows how to choma nyama, not ati kuna ng'ombe kule. Okay?
The difference is venye mechomwa.
Yes. Gaidhuma najuaga hiyo kazi vizuri sana.
Very good.
Watume Gaidhuma. Aende achome hiyo nyama.
Let me tell you what's on the Business Daily. Property auctions surge as defaults hit 674 billion shillings. Guy, at a yard in Nairobi, cars are packed to the brim waiting for bids at auctions where there have not been enough buyers lately. A mounting problem in Kenya as share of loan defaults hit a new 18-year high in August. A soft economy and costly loans have given birth to a rising number of distressed borrowers whose assets from homes to cars and furniture are being seized by aggressive banks. Jesus Christ. Data from the CBK shows that non-performing loans hit a record of 674.9 billion shillings in August, from 657 in July and 621 at the start of the year. This is just showing you people are getting deeper and deeper and deeper into debt distress. Maseno School hosts Muturi in tree planting drive. And there's a photo here of Justin Muturi, the Cabinet Secretary for what? Public Service. And Maseno School Principal Peter Owino during a tree planting exercise to mark Mazingira Day at Maseno School in Kisumu West constituency yesterday. And then they have Kenya Tariffs controls on aircraft short leases. How Bolt, Uber plan to bar rogue drivers. Ride-hailing firms, including Bolt and Uber, are working on a common system that will see errand drivers suspended or locked out of all the apps in a push to improve passenger safety.
Okay.
So if you're blacklisted by one, it's like you're being reported to, what's it called, the one for banks? CRB of
the
ride-hailing app.
Okay.
Costly vegetable odd one as inflation drops. And then they have a boss talk feature where they've interviewed Linda Ndongo, who was here with us on Wednesday. She's the boss of Bolt Kenya. They have a live profile of Professor Mwenda Ntarangwi. USIU Africa has a new vice chancellor, the first Kenyan since it was registered 71 years ago. USIU 71 years old.
The last can do.
Hey?
USIU?
It was registered 71 years ago.
71 years ago is a year.
Hey.
71 years ago. Before
Kenya is
independence.
60. Okay,
Unless we're talking about basically USIU as a whole, not just USIU Africa
University.
in Kenya.
In Kenya.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Professor Mwenda Ntarangwi is the man at the helm now. He has dedicated 3 decades to the education sector in Kenya, Liberia, and the US, teaching, researching, fundraising, and leading. Now, he is the new vice chancellor at USIU Africa in Kenya. Let me show you what's on the Nairobian. It's that time of the week.
Oh, yes.
Sex for fish.
Aye.
Aquaculture aims to end practice on Lake Victoria shores. This has been an issue for a long time.
Long
So
time.
there are new programs that are aimed now at changing this trend.
There have been new trends. There have been
news.
There's those
the
new
time.
things.
It's like
They've been
they're
there
mutating,
all
you know?
the time.
They never
Quote,
ever
unquote.
solve the issue.
No, they do not.
We have documentaries on it. We have all these exposes, and then what?
Yes, and then we now have new.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Methods and
Aquaculture.
Advancing.
I'm talking about the aquaculture, the one for caging fish in the lake, so that you don't have to. This is your fish. You don't have to sleep with someone who went to fish in the middle of the lake. You just pick your fish from your cage.
Well, can they tell us how they can stop the fish from dying first before they tell us all these things?
Dying in the cages.
Oh yes, they're dying.
They're dying a lot in the cages.
They're dying.
I had that too. Yeah.
That has
It's a loss instead.
Yes, but anyway, carry on, please.
Riding the storm, city female makangas battle exploitation and stigma. We
Viva.
have more and more city women makangas. And then witness recounts chilling moment that led to the killing of a bar owner and waitress. From the court, I will tell you a story of how a caretaker is accused of biting a shoe seller's ear and spitting it.
It's not funny. It's not funny.
I'll tell you that story. Rigaji's fall is the main headline in the Nairobian this week of love, politics and betrayal. Now, the DP was the father figure for the lovebirds, MPs Eric and Betty.
Imagine.
Those two are among the how many Mount Kenya people who voted?
40 voted that he should be impeached.
Yeah. Among them, this couple.
Lovebirds. Ay, 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 ay.
Alisimamia harusi yao.
Aki.
Wakamruka.
Abana. That thing is being framed wrongly. So what is alisimamia harusi? That's one thing.
Don't mix.
After he had smeared them, what happened?
So you don't mix business with
No.
Si harusi imesimama, ndoa imesimama.
Si tunaendelea na mbele. What happens in between? We don't know. That one incident cannot equal this other one.
City.
Umenisimamia harusi.
Ukinisimamia harusi, it's not just kusimama.
No,
there is a connection between us.
Yeah, you could even have financed the whole thing. The point I'm trying to make is this. If somebody supports you in your wedding celebration, this impeachment is a completely different matter. Now, we do not know what it is that has happened from the time that support took place until now when this impeachment is coming on. We don't know, do we? Because the way it's being presented is that surely even people ambao walisimamia harusi. Bwana, surely bwana. Hata nyinyi, surely.
Anyway, let's take a look at traffic.
This is the Situation Room. The only way to start your
Save money on your rising electricity bill with StarTime Solar Home Solution. We offer a complete home and commercial energy saving system that includes solar panels with 15-year warranty, lithium battery with 10 years warranty, and an inverter with 5 years warranty. StarTime Solar Home Solution is efficient, reliable, and safe to power essential appliances, complete home lighting, refrigerators, air conditioners, washing machines, microwaves, iron box, instant shower, and entertainment devices, television, computers, Wi-Fi, and so much more. Say yes to reduced electricity bills and call us today on 0719 077 777 and get started on your green energy journey today. StarTime Solar. Power your life.
All right, it's still looking okay on all the major roads heading in towards the CBD this morning. So we are talking about Mombasa Road, we're talking about Langata Road, Ngong Road, Jogoo Road, even Thika Superhighway is just okay. Kiambu Road is fine, Westlands to town is okay, Kangunda Road into town is okay, North Airport Road is just slightly busy, but it's still all right. Even the bypasses are okay. So let's hope that they stay this way today, okay? For a change.
mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
All right, Anki, pick a story.
It is owned by children.
Mm-hmm.
How Member of Parliament couple Gachagua fathered betrayed him at the hour of need. Okay? When the hour of need knocked, Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua was betrayed, according to this report, by the most unlikely lawmakers. Mathira Member of Parliament, Eric Wamumbi, and Muranga Woman Representative Betty Maina, who are a couple. When Wamumbi and Miss Maina tied the knot, Gachagua was the lead negotiator. But when Gachagua was being fried in the National Assembly, the couple was among those members of parliament who supported the impeachment motion that now threatens to end Gachagua's political career. Now, I'm trying to look for anything that's deeper, but I'm just trying to poke CT through this one.
So they're among those that voted.
Yeah, and according to CT, this has nothing to do with betrayal.
No.
This is them doing what exactly then?
It's being presented as betrayal, and I'm saying the fact that somebody helped you negotiate, that was one incident. Do we actually know why it is they voted for the impeachment? We don't.
Okay.
Well, one would only hope that they looked at the merits of the impeachment motion. One would only hope that what was presented by MP Mutuse in the impeachment motion is what they considered. And they looked at it and they said, yeah, there are grounds to impeach this man. Urafiki tuweke kando, this is for the nation. Because of what has been said here, I believe that this man should be impeached. Now, one would only hope that that's the only reason.
In politics, there's nothing like betrayal.
No.
There's no such thing.
Why did that?
The word politics means betrayal.
Oh, wow, okay. But you did hear, do not betray us. We gave you the majority of the votes for a reason. Please do what you ought to do. We had an agreement written and not written. So do not betray, and I underline the word betray, the people.
There are no permanent friends or permanent enemies in this game. I don't know what the hoo-ha is all about.
People should just accept and move on.
The terrain in which these people function, treachery is a norm.
So Raila Odinga didn't betray the people anyway.
Which people?
Well, Kenyans said, oh, yo, these people went on the streets and you all just riding on it. So you stop betraying the people, and they were so angry.
What betrayal?
I'm asking them as well, because you're saying there's nothing as...
Which betrayal? Which one?
Let them talk to us in the comments section.
All the handshakes Raila has had, Moi, Kibaki, Uhuru, and then this one. Where's the betrayal? Same thing.
So it's not betrayal. When are politicians for the people and when are they for themselves?
It's all betrayal. Let me tell you. Voters Tuli. You know, this today's Nation headline is those ones of come. Kujeni. Serving tea. Serving tea. On Monday around 10:45 a.m., Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua received an important call. At the time, Mr. Gachagua was in a meeting with close family members and his legal team at his official current residence, preparing for his address to the nation and National Assembly during his impeachment proceedings the following day. It's the kind of call that, for a man facing the battle of his lifetime as he was, would have evoked mixed emotions. Either he was getting help at his hour of need or his troubles were about to get worse. On the line was President William Ruto.
All right.
Mr. Gachagua and his boss had not spoken since the last time they had met at JKIA in July. Mr. Gachagua would later reveal in subsequent media interviews as the push to impeach him became public that encounter had not ended well. This is why the call from his boss only hours to his appearance before MPs in a last-ditch effort to save his political career was not routine. Gachagua was optimistic, and he had hoped the president either called to assure him all would be well or to grant him an opportunity to patch up their differences. However, none of the two was the reason for the president's call. It took less than a minute for the president to pass his message to his deputy. Now, start counting. Do you have a seconds, Nini?
60
Let's
seconds.
see how long it takes. 60 seconds.
Okay.
By the time I finish saying this.
All right.
At the end of the call, it was clear to Mr. Gachagua that he was on his own. Multiple sources close to the DP and familiar with the dramatic events told the nation that prior to the call, Gachagua had sent emissaries to the president in a final attempt to save himself. The peace missions had failed, which points to the dramatic tension elicited by the call on Monday. State House spokesman Hussein Mohammed said, "I'm not aware of any delegation of church leaders, nor do I know of any phone calls. The president has no role in the ongoing issues, as the Constitution has clearly assigned those responsibilities to branches of government other than the executive." It emerged that on Sunday, on the same day that Gachagua was publicly seeking forgiveness from his boss and MPs at the church, there were religious leaders who were on a mission to reconcile the two. Catholic Bishop Anthony Muheria, ACK Archbishop James Ole Sapit, SDA leaders Samson Nyaberi, and leaders of evangelical churches were among those who spearheaded efforts to broker a truce between the DP and the president. The clerics had sought to find out the reason for the fallout between the two leaders and what it would take to reconcile them. According to sources that are privy to discussions, the president said his deputy had estranged most MPs with his abrasiveness. He also accused Gachagua of fighting government policies and not publicizing projects being implemented in Mount Kenya. But even more grave, the president is reported to have alluded to a scheme by his deputy that was the source of their irreconcilable differences. Yeah. So that is the thing. So in that call that just took less than a minute, it's like they called him, Rigiji, habari yako? Enda ukiendaga. Not nice. Go drying.
Yes.
Because the president can speak a bit of Kikuyu, probably told him, Diokio mara.
Hey.
Na simu ikakatwa.
Hivyo tu 60 seconds ago.
Kabaki akiangalia simu hivyo akasema, we, call the media, I'll talk tonight. I will talk tonight.
Rigi, hii jia haiwezekani. Haiwezekani.
Hii imeenda.
You know the thing about some of these reports, because we're discussing a political problem.
Yeah.
You're never really sure that whether what you're hearing actually happened and it is true, or whether it was contrived. Because I was chatting with some fellows yesterday, and someone mentioned something that I hadn't considered. He said, remember there was this big push to stem corruption. There was this big push.
Right.
And the people who were pushing that agenda mostly were the US, okay? And the understanding was that some high-ups in government must fall. Somebody who is associated with corruption must have it must be seen that the rule of law is working. So, yes, Minister of Agriculture, the issue of the fertilizer or the non-fertilizer or the rocks or the stone or donkey, whatever it is.
The nets.
Yes, exactly.
Medical.
Nets, medical, what have you. And now we have this one. Because remember, the issue of everything was not working badly, okay? Those in government were pilfering quietly and just going about their business quietly. Then the issue of these hotels that the deputy president, and it was in the media, and it was this fellow was telling me, this is flaunting it. It is very possible. Again, this is the realm of politics that he was told, Chief, what your deputy is doing is wrong. Sort it out.
Sort it out.
Sort this thing out, man. We can't have a situation where this is happening. That in the space of 2 years, you've made 5.2
billion.
No. Sorry. Counties receive less than that per year to sort out the issues. This guy's got
47 counties.
No, their counties that receive 4 billion.
Okay.
And that is your budget for the year. Now, why am I mentioning this? This is politics. Depending on which side of the divide you're on, all manner of stories will get to you. And most of the times, I am not certain what it is that I'm hearing. I hear it, but I'm not sure whether there's any truth attached to it or not. Yes.
Well, I'm just here thinking, what is the role of these religious leaders? I don't want to go too far, and I do not want to sound like I do not trust in God. I believe in God. I love reconciliation.
What has God got to do with the religious leaders?
I don't know. I'm just let me see it. My question is, what is the role of the church? There's something, Latiff, you have read there that...
the religious leaders were among those who were spearheading
reconciliation. It's not the first time we are hearing that. But do they ever... On what grounds do they seek reconciliation? Do they always go to reconcile politicians or speak matters politics or give platforms for either campaigns, bless the next leaders, congratulate them, and also, guide their, I don't know if it's congregants to a particular political affiliation? If anyone has the answer to it, I'm just scratching my head around the role of churches in matters governance or politics.
They do
because
have a
maybe
role.
I feel like ours, with all the due respect, ask JLR.
Just say it. What's on your
JLR.
Okay, take a deep breath. Then say
Doris, say what's on your... This is a safe space.
Deep breath. The moment these guys, fused in with the Kenya Kwanza campaigns in 2022, even prophesied who the president would be. All right? And now, here we are. They are still then calling them to reconcile. We have constitutional grounds here that people are looking at. Gen Zs are on the streets over accountability issues. And then it's like they're swayed with, do this. I don't.
Like they're not sure where they belong.
They're not very sure. The wind goes that way, they go that way. I feel like the churches are working with some sort of convenience. Yeah, but I wish they had a stand. What is their stand?
that is a stand. The convenience you spoke of is a stand.
How is convenience a stand?
It is a stand.
What stand?
It's a convenience.
I will.
No.
But Anki, please
stand
remember,
for something or fall for anything.
Please remember, yes, there were some religious leaders.
Some. I take that back.
Who backed Kenya Kwanza. Okay?
Yes.
Strongly.
But it doesn't mean that because they backed Kenya Kwanza, they still back Kenya Kwanza, or they ought to remain on the Kenya Kwanza side. If there's a moment for them to come out and say, all right, even as we backed Kenya Kwanza and we see problems within Kenya Kwanza, we can offer to reconcile, that's okay.
Why were they backing Kenya Kwanza?
Why not? There are those that did not back Kenya Kwanza. And the ones that have been mentioned here, the Archbishop of the Anglican Church, Archbishop David Moheria of the Catholic Church, the head of the SDA. These ones did not openly back Kenya Kwanza or Azimio.
Okay.
And they are here, they are leading, spearheading this reconciliation.
So what does the nation need right now? Reconciliation over what?
Politics, calm down political temperatures.
What is anything high? We're only looking at the impeachment of the deputy president. We have a constitutional lineup, a procedure. We have the Senate that will be looking at this matter. Why are they rushing to reconcile them? What are we reconciling? Personal issues?
Yeah.
Or we need to be looking at how the constitution works and how the law works. What are we reconciling?
If there are differences between the leaders, the step they are taking is a desirable step. And it falls in line with the mandate that they as religious leaders would have. The only problem that arises in these matters is that in many instances, not these particular leaders, but the power, the moral power and the rectitude that the religious leaders had, that thing has waxed and waned somewhat. It's not quite as powerful as it once was. But the attempts are lauded. It is good that they should make attempts to reconcile. It is a good thing. It is a good thing.
It is a good thing morally? Is it a good thing for the...
Yes, it's a good thing morally. It is a good thing because, remember, churches have a serious following in this country.
I agree.
Okay. And so they are leaders. They are supposed to be the neutral leaders who can say, folks, come, let us reason together.
They're supposed to be the neutral.
Yes, I agree. I agree. I cannot say that the attempts are a bad thing because they are not. If there seems to be a problem and they're saying we want to solve it, it is a good thing. Yes. The other discussions about what they should have done, what they could have done, that is a completely different discussion.
Yeah.
Nah, for me it is connected.
So
not different.
Once you judge them, that was it.
I am personally,
and you bundled the entirety of church and religious leaders into it.
You see how Kenyans have this trust issues, if I use it that way, around institutions that are supposed to be independent. Like, do they do their work? The EACC, some are saying the parliament is actually bought out. It is the same thing. The religious leaders ought to now know that at this point in time, if they keep dragging us through, some sort of convenience, Kenyans equally just lose their faith in church, in churches or some religious leaders.
Thank you.
In as far as I am concerned, and no one has to agree with me. This is how I feel about it.
Thank you. This thing called faith is between you and God, not you and your bishop.
No, that's not the point.
No, it is the point actually, because, for instance, I hear the president being blamed. Oh, the president is controlling parliament. Oh, the president is being mentioned, it is alleged he gave people money. Why must you take the money? If indeed there was money being given. When someone is attempting to do what they want to do to achieve what they want, that is what they're doing. You who is participating, how is it someone else's fault and you have participated willingly? Yeah, how? It's like us and the West, and we keep complaining, these people, their money. Kwani, must you take the money?
Well, is it by force?
No, must you take the money?
If you accept.
If you accept it, you accept the baby and the bathwater. So stop pitching a fit.
Take the
money and shut up. If you don't want to take the money, then don't take it.
Hey, City.
Yes.
Breathe in.
Yes, please.
Would you like to tell us the story of that sad story of the taxi driver?
This thing, man, it's this a tear tagging story. I don't know, man. The things that happen in this country, this country is a Jabu country. Suspects faces another murder and robbery with violence charges involving taxi operators. Slain taxi driver Veronica Muloki was repeatedly hit using a blunt object before being strangled to death, a post-mortem report has revealed. Government pathologist Dr. Johansen Oduor, who conducted the post-mortem at City Mortuary, said the mother of three had tried to fight off the assailant. Dr. Oduor said her body had physical injuries, implying her killer was intentional. The injuries on her hands also suggest she tried to protect herself or fight back. He added that further tests were being conducted on additional samples, which are crucial for investigation to decipher the crime. They want to know if there was any form of poisoning or sexual assault of the deceased. Muloki, 35, was missing. Went missing on September 27th from Mombasa before her body was discovered more than 400 kilometers away in Lari, Kiambu, 2 days later. The driver's last communication, according to police, was when she was in Samburu town, Kwale County. The town is about 66 kilometers from the Mombasa CBD. Muloki's disappearance was reported at the Makopo police station in Mombasa by her mother. Police intensified the search. The drivers believe the motive for the murder was the car the woman was driving. Okay?
As in the motive was the car?
Yes. The suspect, Edwin...
The person wanted to steal the car?
Yes. The suspect, Edwin Ngetich, is already in custody. Ngetich, listen to this.
Yes.
Ngetich faces 2 murder charges and 2 robbery with violence charges involving taxi drivers.
So he has a record.
This guy has a record.
Drivers.
Yes, not drivers.
He's done before.
The suspect seems to be a serial killer targeting taxi drivers.
Wow.
We'll get more, said an officer aware of the police. In July 2014, he's alleged to have abducted and killed George Njuguna, taxi driver operating in Kisumu.
But what?
They've linked him to a previous case.
Yes, they have.
But he
this
was
is the
able
time.
to...
Yes.
I'm lost. So
this is the time they're linking him to that
so
previous
those,
case.
yeah?
Yes. And he's the same person who, on September the 27th, asked, he hailed a cab for to take him somewhere, and she accepted. It's a taxi. You hail it, it comes. Yes.
This guy, though.
Midway through the journey, he attacked her, assaulted her multiple times, and tied her to the back seat of the car.
He had that much time.
He then took control. It's you and the taxi driver.
I understand.
He took control of the vehicle and drove towards Nairobi.
Just overpower her and then everything else now.
And how? Where is this level of, okay, fine. You take that drive, you drive the car, you go all the way, you're seen in Nakuru, then you're seen in...
He drove all the way to Maina and then dumped the body.
And then he was spotted with this guy in Kisumu. He was now just enjoying... Yeah, they also in
He
Kisumu.
was arrested in Nakuru.
Yes, but the car was also seen in Kisumu.
Yes.
Yeah. So he was enjoying his moments with the car after getting it. I mean, what?
The motive for him is to take the car.
And he said it's believed he abducts owners of vehicles before stealing the cars.
He's not afraid. He's not worried or concerned about our, agencies, our security
Clearly
agencies.
not. That's why he's done it more than once.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm driving at. He was very comfortable.
Yeah.
He got away with the others, didn't he?
I believe so.
Yeah.
Now this one, his day had arrived.
And I hope there's that real action, though, because most of the times these stories are blow out like this, and we ja.
No, he might
and then
commit
what
suicide.
happens?
These fellows also sometimes commit suicide.
While in police custody.
While in police custody. He'll probably
They off themselves, okay?
He'll tie a handkerchief around his neck and die.
Hey, City.
Well, keep it here for more conversations. Today is the International Day of the Girl Child, being commemorated globally, the 11th of October. And we'll be having a conversation on how UN Women is supporting girl child and women development in the country. That's the next conversation, 7 a.m.
Spice up your life.
Good morning, this is Newswire. Dennis Aseto. The decision on whether the impeachment case against the Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua will be presented to Chief Justice Martha Koome so that she appoints a panel of judges to hear it will be determined today. Gachagua, through his lawyers led by Paul Wheater, submitted the request asking the court to appoint a panel of judges to hear the case after telling the court that the process of impeaching the Deputy President raises many constitutional matters, as it is the first time a holder of such an office is being impeached in the history of the Republic. The lawyers emphasized that there must be sufficient evidence to prove the claims raised against Gachagua for him to be impeached. However, the National Assembly, through its lawyers, maintained that the case will be resolved without involving a panel of judges. Meanwhile, a lawyer has filed a case at the Eldoret High Court seeking to prevent Chief Justice Martha Koome from swearing in any nominated Deputy President if the Senate upholds Rigathi Gachagua's impeachment. Morara Omoke is challenging Gachagua's impeachment on several grounds, including the irregular collection of signatures from MPs, inadequate public participation, breaches of constitutional provisions, and the sidelining of Gachagua from government functions. According to Omoke, MPs were threatened with the halted constituency projects if they did not support the motion. Still on the same, Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua will Thursday, October 17th, have 4 hours from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. to defend himself and table his evidence against the impeachment grounds, and another session in the afternoon for cross-examination. During the period, Gachagua's lawyers will also have a chance to call witnesses to the stand who he believes will help to save his job. His legal team says they have several witnesses lined up. Now, a section of religious institutions in the country have opposed the bill presented by Tana River Senator Danson Mugatana, which aims to control the churches. Now, at a press conference in Trans Nzoia County, after holding a meeting with more than 1,000 religious leaders, Bishop Hudson Deda said that churches have the ability to regulate themselves.
We want to caution MPs who are championing extending the term limits of MPs and elected members in this country. We want to tell you that Kenyans are not with you. Yes. We are not with you on that. Yes. What we want to hear from you is service delivery. Yes. And we welcome the good gesture from our president. He pronounced himself last Sunday on matters regulating the church. The church wants self-regulation. We will come up with a mechanism on how we can self-regulate without interference from politicians and other people who are against the church.
Bishop Fred Akama and Reverend Stanluz Alele had this to say.
Iyo bill ya Mungatana, there is nothing like amendment. That bill should be abolished in its totality. Yes. And there should be nothing to be revived concerning that bill. Yes. That bill should be thrown away.
The church, according to the last census, Christians are 85% of the Kenyan population. So we want Christians to get together economically, financially, and politically so that we see the revival of God in this country, especially starting from Western Kenya.
As President William Ruto prepares to preside over the 60th Mashujaa Day celebrations in Kwale County, residents have appealed to him to address historical land injustices in the region. The residents, mostly pensioners, have said that they were tortured, arrested and forcibly evicted from their ancestral land in the 70s. Led by Juma Omar, they've appealed to the president to help them secure land titles.
Usiku huo wa 89 watu wamelala saa 8 za usiku. Hizo nyumba zote zikazungukwa na maaskari, ni magongo yao, aliyeshika bunduki. Nini kuna nini leo? Watu wakashikwa hapo tarehe 29 saa 8 za usiku. Manake tulikuwa tunajulikana, unabishiwa mlango, ukitoka umevaa nguo huko uchi. Kuna wengine walikwenda kununuliwa suruali lungalunga.
Sasa mimi sina hata makao yenyewe, sina. Nimekaa kama yatima, sina lolote. Bwana Rais, na kuomba utuangalie kilio chetu.
And acting Haitian Prime Minister Gary Conil is in the country for a 4-day state visit. Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi, who is also the Foreign Affairs Cabinet Secretary, welcomed Conil at the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport. Now, according to Mudavadi, Conil is expected to hold high-level bilateral talks with President William Ruto surrounding strengthening security cooperation and fostering partnerships that promote regional stability between Kenya and Haiti. This is Newswire. I'm Dennis Aseto. Good morning.
SpiceFM, Nakuru.
What's happening on the roads? It's Friday. It's still looking okay at 7:05. Thika Superhighway is just starting to stretch. It's just beyond the Muthaiga police station. Kiambu Road is still at Muthaiga Club, but it moves after that. Mombasa Road heading towards town is all right. The only small traffic around the General Motors, but then after that it clears up. All the roundabouts are okay. Into Huru Highway into town, Langata Road is fine. Ngong Road into town is fine. Wayaki Way into town is okay. We can see right now that James Gishoro Road into town is also looking good. If we look at the other roads that head towards town, Jogoo Road is okay. Lower Kabete Road is still all right for now. And we also see that Thika Superhighway, we've talked about it, yes. Outer Ring Road is looking okay. Kangunda Road is okay. So there's nothing much to report right now. But if there's anything that you'd like us to alert everybody else about, tag us on X at SpiceFMKE.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is The Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
It is indeed, and thank you very much for keeping it locked. I hope you had a good Mazingira day and you planted a tree or 2 or 10. Asante sana for what you're doing. We have to keep greening the country. Okay, so we can argue about very many things, but we can't argue about the fact that we need to actually improve our tree cover as a country. We are not doing so well. As we get into this second hour, we have to remind you about the things that we keep telling you all the time. You want to go to visit a health facility. One of the health facilities that you will see near your neighborhood will be an Aga Khan University Hospital Clinic. Can you see it? I'm sure you've seen one. So there are 53 clinics across the country. Now, those are many. We're basically saying that we have 53 Aga Khan branches. Hey, City.
There are very many. You know, the thing is this. When you hear clinic, you take the view that it's a health facility, perhaps with a nurse.
Yes.
If you're very fortunate, it may have a clinical officer. These clinics are actually super clinics, because if you look at the array of professionals or sub-specialities that are in these clinics, it's amazing. You're talking about pediatricians. You're talking about gynecologists.
Yes.
You are talking about the possibility of a minor surgery in certain select facilities. My friend, you actually can go to that particular clinic and get thoroughly checked up.
Yeah.
Simply because the facilities that you will get in most hospitals are available at this supposed clinic, this one. Yes.
Including urologists, we're also looking at nutritionists, dentists, dermatologists. I mean, this is really good, but the good thing is that it's near you now.
Yep.
There's no excuse, absolutely no excuse for saying, well, the major hospital is too far away.
Yep.
It's in your neighborhood.
Yep. It's like things in the neighborhood, like 24-hour supermarkets. Now, if you have access to a 24-hour supermarket, then convenience is all that, we're talking about convenience. So, for example, Naivas, which saves you money, has very many 24-hour supermarket branches across the Nairobi. 2 new ones, Kamakis and Utawala. Now, if you go to any of those and it's 24 hours, it means that you're sorted. You can also download the Naivas app, where you can do all your shopping from there. So, very good. Let's talk about the day today. The 11th day of October is celebrated globally as the International Day of the Girl Child, and we are going to have that conversation, joined now by Sylvia Maina, who's a regional gender statistics and communications specialist at UN Women, and Joshua Musimi, who's a program specialist for gender statistics at UN Women. Sylvia and Joshua, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Latiff.
How are you doing?
Very well, thanks.
You're doing well.
Happy International Day of the Girl Child.
Yes, Happy International Day.
Karibuni sana. Well, you're sitting on the hot seats of the Situation Room. We normally have one, but every time if we have an extra guest, we hit up the other one. They're warm enough, right?
Very nice.
Very
Yes,
good.
they are.
Karibuni sana. We will talk about this. We'll get to understand the importance of the International Day of the Girl Child and what we mean by girl child and all. But City will welcome you with the day's proverb. And as he does that, let me tell you about something else. You are on a call, Joshua. You are talking to somebody has called you and you've called them back, and you're on a call and you are addressing an emergency. Say it's family back home, it's a friend who's in a distress. But in the middle of the call, you hear tit, 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 tit. Credit has run out. That's the worst moment. Worst moment. It happens a lot. So what will happen is at that time is when you'll start thinking, okay, how do I top up this thing? Do I have money on my M-Pesa? Okay, do I have to pull money from my bank into M-Pesa, into buying credit? Safaricom looked at all those things and decided, you know what, in order to help Joshua and Eric and others like them, so that you don't keep buying airtime all the time just because airtime has run out, or you are browsing and your data has run out, and how about we come up with a package that works for 30 days? So you buy it once and you get data, you get call minutes, you get SMSs, you get WhatsApp. So for instance, 2,000 shillings, you get 100 minutes of talk time. 100 minutes, Joshua. Tuongelesha nani? Hey, 100 minutes in 30 days. 1,000 minutes. Yes. 2,000 SMSs. Free WhatsApp. And for data, you have 17 GB of data. Sounds like a good thing, right?
It's a good deal.
Oh, yes, it is. We always kept telling people it's a good deal. How do you subscribe? Dial star 544 hash. Follow the prompts. Star 544 hash. You'll see Go Monthly. Click on the Go Monthly. It'll bring you all-in-one. Click on the all-in-one and then select any of the all-in-one packages that suits you. So, are you ready for the proverb?
Very ready.
You're ready?
Yes, absolutely.
City, where are our proverbs coming from this week?
This is the final day of our proverbs from the Kingdom of Morocco. Kingdom. By the way, this is a genuine kingdom. None of these ceremonial things. And the king is not ceremonial either. He's a king with power. Yes, this king is the commander of the faithful, like head of the church. He is commander of the Moroccan armed forces. He is head of the Supreme Council of the Judiciary. Every time I read this and I'm thinking, if the African leaders listen, they're just salivating and saying, why did we get democracy? Look at all this. Yes, but he chooses the prime minister from the political party that wins the election. He can remove and constitute ministries. He can also terminate parliament.
Oh, without notice?
He can terminate parliament.
Period.
Yes.
Total power.
Yes, and they have a population of 38 million. So we are more than them. Now, the proverb. They begin as neighbors and end up as mice. Okay.
They begin as neighbors and end up as mice. Sylvia, you were looking forward to today's proverb.
The proverb. This must be the toughest one I've heard yet.
Sylvia?
Yes.
It sounds like it's the
Planned this
toughest
for
one.
us.
Sounds like it's the toughest one, but maybe it's not.
They began as neighbors and ended up as mice.
Yeah. I think Joshua can already see what this means.
Really,
how's that, I guess?
This one is tough.
Don't overthink it. You just say what comes to mind. The thing about the interpretation, you can't be wrong. It doesn't matter what you say.
Literature, eh?
Yes. I mean, it's like saying that what they're saying is that camels are walking backwards. I'll say, okay, if that's what you see, then that's fine.
That's fine.
Yes.
What City said, camels are walking backwards. That is the answer.
It's a tough one, is it?
Yeah, they began as neighbors, ended up as mice.
Yeah? What do you think?
What do mice do? What are they
Mice nibble, I guess.
Yes, they do. Do you invite them to nibble?
No.
They decide.
Yes.
Yes. And
You've got it?
And if there are plenty, then they actually become a nuisance.
I agree. I see it.
What do you see, Anki?
I see it.
I
see
So what's
it.
your interpretation?
You can invite them and they come in as friends, but then things can turn around and they become bothersome instead, drag you down, steal from you, tear your clothes apart, leave you miserable.
Or they start off by asking for salt.
Yeah.
Jirani unga umeisha.
Then it's sugar.
Sugar.
And your skuma is now on the line.
Yes, exactly.
Eventually everything.
Eventually everything.
And then jirani nipe lift.
Jirani, nimesikia harufu ya nyama ikangwa. Umebakisha kidogo.
Tunanukia chapati.
Yeah, bas, you've got it.
Bas,
you've got it.
Wow, but that's a tough one, City.
Makes sense, doesn't it? Though?
It does, because best intentions sometimes don't take you where you intend.
Nice.
Yeah.
But I'm really curious. I want to hear from Joshua.
Indeed.
Really, when I look at it, I've no much idea. I'm a numbers person. Ask me how many mice were there. And I'll be able to
I love that. And disaggregate them by sex.
And I'll tell you.
But this is an interesting proverb. If you grew up in the rural areas and you had friends whom you played with, was it unusual for you to eat at their house or for them to eat at your house?
So very normal.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Very normal. It was very, very normal. It's been normal for the longest time. But what is of interest also, children knew where food was cooked better.
So they could give you intel. Huh?
So around meal times, they more or less head in that direction. Because they also know it is being cooked at their own house and they're not interested.
They're like, today's gathering. The neighbor has chapo. It's a no-brainer.
People start heading there. Okay. Today is the International Day of the Girl Child. What's that, Sylvia? What does that mean?
Yeah, I mean, thanks for that. First of all, for even marking this day, because I think it's one of those days that often passes unknown. We all know International Women's Day, but International Day of the Girl sometimes surprises a lot of people. So basically, it's a day to just evaluate where girls are. Globally, of course, regionally, in the sub-region of Eastern Southern Africa, and now, of course, in Kenya, just to assess what are some of the gains that have been made in girls' empowerment, gender equality, of course, that affects girls as well, not just women, because it takes a girl to make a woman, right? So it also looks at some of the challenges, maybe, that they've faced. But I think we like to start with gains, perhaps, before we go into all the complaints, if I can say, of what's not being done for girl child. And this year, the theme, as you may be aware, is looking at hope and future. Like, basically, it's an optimistic kind of theme. So what does the future hold for girls globally and in Kenya as well?
You know, City loves music. And there's a group that he likes called The Temptations. And they sang the song My Girl. He keeps singing that song.
Nice.
So who's a girl?
From the 80s,
When you say girl, how do we define when you say girl child? Is there a universal definition of girl child?
Yeah, so for me, I'd define that as female under 18, for sure. You know, there are a lot of reports and documents you read where you see women between the age of 15 and 24. And I always cringe because from the minute we start calling a 15-year-old woman, it has all sorts of connotations, right? It normalizes some things which should not be normal, like child marriage, for example. Yeah, at least at risk of getting ahead of myself. But I think between 5 and 18 for me is what I would call a girl. I think from the statistical view, maybe Joshua can give some more insights, but 5 and below, I think we would consider that still in the very let me say infancy stage. Not really infancy, but you know, not really a girl yet, if I can call, because under 5s are classified a little bit differently. And even when you look at UN agencies, there are certain agencies that really focus on under 5, for example.
I think depending on what you want to analyze, but what Eric has asked about girls, yes, we'll look at those who are below 18. But depending on some of the analysis we do, like if we are interested on some of the vices like early child marriage and all that, then we are looking at even lower age groups. When we talk about issues of early pregnancies, then we go up to 19. We look at the age of 15 to 19. So it depends on what topic or what discussions we are putting on the table. But basically what Sylvia said, under 18, these are the girls.
Okay. If we just look at it broadly, because we're looking at the girl's vision for the future, and of course we're talking about making every woman and girl count in today's conversation, what are the main challenges that these girls between 5 and 18 face that would hamper their development and proper growth into their adulthood, into their life?
I'll say that in Kenya, we are looking at what we are calling the triple threat. And the triple threat here, we are talking about teenage pregnancies, we are talking about gender-based violence, we are looking at HIV, among some of the threats, or, you know, that will hamper the full growth to their potential of young girls. Yep.
Okay. You know, when you talk about the understanding, let me revise that question. Why the focus on the girl child?
I'll say the girl child has been disadvantaged. Let me use a better word, at risk, vulnerable. You can use those type of words to, explain the question you are asking, because they're at a disadvantaged position compared to the boys. And that's why we are talking about the girl child mainly. Yeah.
And this disadvantage, is it something that's systemic? Is it something that is cultural? Is it something that for the longest time was considered a norm, and then with the time and understanding and exposure, it has been seen as a disadvantage?
Yes, I'll say it started as a norm, as a cultural norm. When we grew up, myself and you, and probably Steve, you're not there. So for us, we grew up, and from once you are born, when you are a boy, when you are a girl, you are assigned some roles. Yes. A girl will be given, some utensils to play with. Generals. Kalungu, Yes. While the boys would be bought some cars as toys and all that. And it all started from there. And the boy was told that you cannot cry, you are a man. The girl as the other roles. So this is where the cultural norms started to impact on the girl child. And more to that, we'll find the girl was burdened with more household chores, washing utensils, collecting firewood, collecting water. And that pushed them to the disadvantage I talked about. And that was perpetuated even when you go to school. In some of the communities, a few girls will be taken to school. If you are both a boy and a girl and the family is disadvantaged, they will opt to take the boy to school, leave the girls behind. After 15, then you are married off. These are the disadvantages I'm talking about.
Those were the disadvantage. Are they still the disadvantage?
This is what we've been really trying to fight. And I mentioned about the triple threat. Probably there are more threats than the three ones I mentioned, because we've been trying to focus on, pushing for the girl education, sensitization of even the guardians, parents, to know that these people have equal opportunities, should be given equal opportunities. And from a gender perspective, we are saying, let's treat both the boy and the girl the same way. They should not be one disadvantaged than the other. Treat them as children. Take them to school. Empower them so that they meet their full potential.
Yeah. There's still a lot of that cultural hangover, if I can call it that. So yes, it was there traditionally, but even now in modern society, you still find families where there's both boys and girls. There are things the girl will be asked to do that the boy will not be asked to do, even in urban settings. Yeah, so like Joshua is saying, that perpetuated a lot of this, but there's also the perception of girls are being raised to go away. So, this brings a lot of issues. Inheritance. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Inheritance. And that's why there's that choice of if there's boy and girl and you need to choose one to educate, you'll choose the boy because he's your legacy. But the girl, you're raising her and educating her to give to someone else. Can never be you, So you'd rather hold her back, and she's seen more as a resource. And I'll even go as far as saying it as a source of income. And when we look at economic shocks, because those are some of the issues that affect some of these behavior and practices. Yeah, if you have issues of like climatic and economic shocks, like there's a drought or there's a flood or there's a sudden global pandemic, and the economy is in flux, you'll find some girls now are being sold off more, like we saw that even during COVID, because things are difficult at home. Things are thick, as we would say, yeah? So you'd rather then give this girl up for marriage, get some income, and use that to sustain yourself. But the boy is seen more as long-term carrier of the family name. Right? And this is an issue, because I know in Kenya we always say that girls are over-empowered. And when we say that girl child is still disadvantaged, there's always the issue of you feminists, you're just trying to agitate for girls, right? And for us, even as UN Women, that's why we are so keen on incorporating male action, activism, voices, right? Like it may be ironic to some that our gender statistics specialist for Kenya is a male, right? Our outgoing regional director for East and Southern Africa was also a male, right? But this is just as part of our he for she campaign, because some of these changes cannot happen with only women at the forefront, because this is a societal issue. And I like what President Obama said when he came in 2015 for the Global Economic Summit. He talked about how if half the population is women, and we know it's slightly just above half, maybe 51%, are held back, we cannot as a society pretend to be developing because you're trying to run with one hand tied behind your back. You can't be saying to be going forward, yet you're leaving half the population behind. So one of our mantras as the UN in general, and of course UN Women is privy to that, is leave no one behind. That's the philosophy for the Sustainable Development Goals. And so we'll keep harping on the girl child, not because we are anti the boy child, but because, first of all, let me clarify, gender is both boy and girl, man and woman.
Right.
That's something that I think needs to be demystified. But secondly, also we emphasize with leave no one behind that we always start with the one who's furthest behind. Yeah. So if we're talking about persons with disabilities, we'll rather talk about them than regularly abled persons, right? Because those are the ones who need the most capacity. I know you understand the argument of equity versus equality.
I wanted to bring that up.
Isn't
I'm
it?
glad you've come. I was actually waiting for you to do that.
Wonderful.
So yeah, we need to discuss that, because the, example, and ugali is cooked at home, and there is how many boys in the house? 3 boys, 2 girls. But which is it? Like, you're going to cut it into all, sizes equally, so that even though I do not want that size of ugali and I'll have a slice and I'm okay, that is equity. And which one is more achievable? Which one is more realistic? Are they all achievable at the same time? And what is UN's vision in that regard? Equity, equality. Because there's an argument. I just want a slice of ugali. Why are you fighting for me to have half of it, like the boy?
Yeah, that's a very good question. And I love that analogy, because in that case, clearly, like I'm a mother of boys, right? One is a preteen, the other one is a teen, way taller than me. But, you can't compare how they eat versus how girls eat. Okay. So if we were to have that exact scenario of the ugali, why would I insist that the girl eats the same amount as the boy, right? He needs more in that sense. Right? So for us as UN, we look at it as, yes, equality and equity are both important. Like UN Women is the agency for promoting gender equality and women's empowerment, right? So this is to say that neither of the genders should be left behind. Giving the example of education, for example, I think a lot has been done regionally, globally, even in Kenya, to make sure that girls have equal opportunity to access education. And we've actually found that they are more or less at par now in primary education.
Yep.
Even enrollment in secondary is more or less at par. In fact, in some countries, like is it Rwanda, maybe Botswana, I think South Africa, and Kenya as well, you might even find enrollment in secondary is higher for girls.
Enrollment.
Yes. Now, when we talk about other factors like transition, I know that's where you're going, right? You find, especially in mid-high school, the numbers may start to dip a little bit for girls.
Okay.
And I think if you ask yourself why, we can answer ourselves and say probably it's because they've now matured, in quotes. They've gone into puberty, started their menses, after 15. So now they're quote-unquote, in some cultures or in some perspectives, ready for marriage, right?
But then,
yes,
if these parents took their girl to school, then already we can see that their mindset is different, right? As opposed to those who are just, this girl, there's no point of me taking her to school. If a parent has paid school fees for their child through primary school, has started paying school fees for their child into secondary school, are you saying that this child this parent would easily discard all that and say, okay, you're in Form 3 now, you can get married? Is it that easy? Is it that it's a parent's decision?
Let me take that. It's not easy. Those who have now who've taken the decision to take their children to school, they would want to see them go through all the levels of education. But then other factors start to crop in. Like what Sylvia was saying, when they are 15 and above, now the other things like, some pets outside, I'll call them pets, sex pets, they'll start see them as now ready for other activities. Right. Let me not say that. Because, so That is what is affecting them. Then you see them drop out because they have either gotten pregnant or they have been, the motorbike riders, they are known now in the rural areas. They will entice them with a few 200 shillings, 100 shillings, and now they'll start competing with them. And now this leads now to another thing, then they drop out. That's what I want to say. But to the parent, he was determined to see this child go through. But I want to change it to the other side. We are seeing now more girls, push it through school, because of the sensitization which has been done. And even for those who now manage to finish school, get employment, these are the people who are supporting the families. They are more keen. The boys are now, I know we'll be discussing about the boy child later at some point, but we see the boy child sliding into now the challenges, the risks we are looking at for the girl child. Now the girl child is the one who is now becoming a bit, what do I say? Enabled.
And that brings in the question then, is it not possible for us to look at children as children and not look at children as gender? Because clearly looking at children as gender is leading to one. So it has previously been that you're looking at boys, and so you've empowered boys and disempowered girls. And then there's been a campaign to look at girls. So you've focused a lot on girls and sort of forgotten the boy. And now we are seeing a reversal. Even if you look at the comments that we are seeing right now, we're talking about International Day of the Girl Child. People are asking, is there ever an International Day for the boy child? Why now has the boy been so disempowered? What about the boy child? We look at it as gender. When you say girl, the boy comes in. Why not children?
Eric, if I pick what Sylvia said earlier, gender is about both boys, girls, women, and men. And therefore, we are trying to treat them. It's only when we start looking at the numbers that we start to see the discrepancies between the different sexes. So let's not use gender in this aspect, because gender is supposed to be, a level playground, But now when we look at the numbers, how they behave, then we start to see the small risks, the challenges one sex is facing. And these are the ones we are trying to address. So we are not saying that we should not address the challenges for the boy child. We should. But we should see no one is left behind. And that's a principle we are talking about here.
Are we discussing the symptoms or are we discussing the problem? Let me explain to you why I'm asking. A lot of what we say and what we consider retrogressive is very closely associated with traditionalism. And many communities who tend to be traditional also happen to be resource poor. If you look at our country and you look at places where people have held on to archaic traditions, as we call them, and which they consider to be fine, that is what seems to be the constant. What we call modern day development is scarce. The exposure that perhaps other places have is scarce. So they hold on to what they have held on to, because for change to occur, something must replace another.
Sure.
That is why it is called change. So the consequences are what we now see. Because if we talk about, say, the motorbike rider, motorbike revolutionized transportation in this country. It's a good thing. Who is the motorbike rider? Who ends up being the motorbike rider?
The boy.
Yes, but from what background? What sort of person ends up? Is it the first choice when you're in school and you ask, what do you want to be? I want to be a motorbike.
What do you want to become?
Yes. I am simply saying, when you're enticed by 200 shillings, it means you regard it as a lot of money.
Sure.
Okay? If you're enticed by, what are these phones called? Whatever it is, these material things, it means it is something that you consider to be valuable. So, the problems that come about as a result of the traditional mindset has to do with a background where you are impoverished.
It's the role that poverty plays.
Absolutely. City, allow me to jump in. In fact, that is such an important point. Yeah, because it's about the root cause, like you've said.
Yes.
Yeah, the issue is poverty. That's why I talked about even economic shocks. That's why I talked about global pandemics. There's also climatic shocks, which we know disproportionately affect girls and women, because if they're the ones going to fetch firewood and fetch water, then if there's an issue with drought and all that, then clearly they have to go longer distances in unsafe terrain, right? But poverty is one of the things, and that's where gender data really comes in, because there's something we call intersectionality, where we look at the different factors. Like, is this someone, let's give a random example. This is a woman who's maybe a single parent, who is also, of course, let's use the example of the region Black, because we know they're racial, or some certain tribes, or from a certain region, like maybe an Asal region. Maybe this person also is out of work, right, is not educated. You know, those are different. Even the fact that she's a woman already puts her at a disadvantage based on the data that we have seen for some of those reasons that we've talked about. So even in Kenya, we've done gender data in a comprehensive poverty report that looked at some of these issues and what is affecting who and where and how. Yeah, how much money is in the pocket of the boy or the man versus the pocket of the girl and woman. And at UN Women, one of the thematic areas that we address, like Joshua and I are in a cross-cutting theme called gender statistics, which is where Making Every Woman and Girl Count program comes from, which is our flagship gender data and statistics program. Yeah, but we have other thematic areas that deal with elimination of violence against women, for example. There's women economic empowerment. Yeah, so we're looking at it in a multi-pronged approach. Right? Not just saying stop GBV, but we've noticed even anecdotal data shows that when you empower women and girls, incidences of GBV and even sexual GBV go down. Yeah, so these are all interlinked. So you're very right, Citi. It's a matrix, and we really try and hit all the areas, which is also why we work with grassroots organizations in Kenya and the region as well, because they have their hands and feet in the ground. Yeah, they can hear qua ground what the ground is saying, as we say in Kenya.
And we'll take a break now. When we come back, we'll look at some of these interventions and how they're helping to have make every woman and girl count, what it is that UN Women is doing, and how you are working with these other partners to help this work. Our guest this morning, Joshua Musiemi, Program Specialist at Gender Statistics at UN Women. Sylvia Maina, Regional Gender Statistics and Communication Specialist at UN Women. She'll be stepping out to give space to Doris Munyenyi, Program Manager for Women Leadership and Governance at Groots Kenya. This is Kenya's biggest conversation, the Situation Room. Loop is not an app, it's a lifestyle, but you can download it on the App Store or Play Store. So just go there, look for Loop. It's beautiful. What color is that?
Orange.
Yeah, it's orange in color. Yeah. You'll find the L. It'll tell you it's Loop, but then the L also represents lifestyle. L represents very many things, but it's not for losing, it's for winning. It's because with Loop as a lifestyle, you are sorted. You open it, you manage to open.
Yes, successfully.
And now you're working on it, right?
Yes.
And you can see, you can send money, you can receive money, you can open different wallets, you can.
It's very convenient. I'm functioning like a good citizen. And
yeah.
Responsible adult.
What happens is that, we want to free our time. Free your time so that you can focus on the main things that you need to focus on. These are two small things. Oh, I forgot to send money. You can schedule payment. I was supposed to send Joshua money at 11:30 a.m. You can schedule that payment. 11:30 money is sent to Joshua. Not that the person is calling you at 2:30 p.m. Ulisema utanitumia pesa.
Sorry, both.
Kulienda, sorry, I forgot. No. You remove all those things by having Loop. Yeah. 20 minutes to 8. We'll be back shortly.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Hii September, endelea kufurahia na Star Times. Renew your subscription today on the basic bouquet for 750 shillings for aerial decoders. Enjoy lots of fun and adventures on our kiddie channels. Let your favorite stars make your heart flutter on our world-class telenovelas. Renew your subscription on the Smart Bouquet for 1,199 shillings for satellite decoders for unmissable football action on the Carabao Cup, Saudi League, La Liga, and the Bundesliga. Music, movies, documentaries, and lifestyle channels. Download Star Times on app today on Google Play Store or the Apple Store to never miss a moment of your favorite shows. Star Times. Enjoy digital life.
The weather with SpiceFM.
Okay, let's see. It's warming up in Nairobi currently, 15, highs of 25 later, highs of 30 later in Mombasa, highs of 30 in Malindi, highs of 29 in Kisumu, highs of 25 in Nakuru, Nyeri highs of 25 as well, Eldoret highs of 24, Kakamega highs of 28, Kampala highs of 26, Kinshasa highs of 32, Johannesburg highs of 30, Lagos 31, highs of 31 in Mogadishu, highs of 19 in Addis Ababa, highs of 31 in Dar es Salaam. And Paris is currently cloudy at 8, highs of 15. It's partly cloudy in London at 4, highs of 13. Clear skies in New York at 10, highs of 20. And Beijing, sunny at 20, highs of 23.
Spice up your life.
Okay, so it's okay. Actually, some people who took Thursday off for the holiday have taken Friday off to do other things. So we are seeing Thika Superhighway is not looking bad at all. It just begins at Utali. Kiambu Road is not looking bad. Jogoo Road heading in towards town is okay. Langata Road is fine. Gong Road is okay. Jogoo Road is only busy around the Makadara area, but we know that it clears up. City Stadium is fine. Landis Road is just busy as you get to the roundabout, but then after that it's fine. Outer Ring Road is okay. North Airport Road is busy at City Cabanas, but we know why. It's because there's absolutely no way of coming off North Airport Road and getting onto Mombasa Road apart from doing that ridiculous U-turn. And Kenha, I don't know whether they're thinking about it. Maybe they're not. Mombasa Road, if side is coming into town, it's fine. Wayaki Way into town is also fine.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
So our conversation continues on this International Day of the Girl Child, and we're looking at UN Women's strategy, making every woman and girl child count. The theme for this year is Girls' Vision for the Future. Joshua Musimi, Program Specialist for Gender Statistics at UN Women, stays on with us, and we are now joined by Doris Munyenyi, Program Manager for Women Leadership and Governance at Groots Kenya. Doris, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Very well. Good to see you. Karibu sana.
Good to see you.
Happy
too.
International Day of the Girl Child.
Thank you.
Right? So we were talking about the girl child and, the challenges that the girl child faces and the challenges that gender faces. And, we're looking at what that means. What's the root cause? What the point of the root cause is, poverty being one of them. And then we said, but there are some interventions that have been done on the ground. Mm-hmm. And one of the organizations that's working on the ground is Groots Kenya. So what is it that you do when it comes to matters of gender and particularly women and girls?
Thank you very much for this opportunity. So let me begin by introducing Groots Kenya. Groots Kenya is an acronym for Grassroots Organizations Operating Together in Sisterhood, and we are a national movement of grassroots women and girls with over 5,000 women groups in this country. And so we are facilitating the engagement of grassroots women in development while shifting the perceptions of how grassroots women and girls are seen. And so some of the things that we are doing to ensure that some of these things come to an end, such as gender-based violence, is number one, we are doing a lot of community engagement. Remember, we are grassroots women-led, meaning sisi ndio tuko kwa ground. We are the real mashinani. And so how do we do this? Number one, we have conversations, real conversations with at different categories. One of the categories is what we call the opinion leaders meetings. And these are meetings with pastors, religious, sheikhs, the religious kind of leaders, politicians. In your village, the way there's that one family leader that is known, when they say something in a meeting, they're heard. So we are having conversations with that category of people to remind them, hey, like gender-based violence is real, and the issues of the girl child are real, and you need to embrace them, and you need to be at the forefront of fighting against them. We're also having conversations with men for women champions who are our allies, because remember, if we don't have these discussions, we'll kind of be hitting a drum that is not removing any sound. You need to speak to the people who are actually causing some of these perpetration, to be able to understand why it's coming off as a harm. That's one of the things we're doing. Secondly, we are putting up safe spaces and rescue centers. Remember, national non-governmental organizations or movements like us are complementing the work of the government. And so one of the roles of the government is supposed to be setting up rescue centers. It's a form of gender-responsive budgeting. However, because it's a costly process, let me tell you, when it comes to responding to issues of gender-based violence, for example, for a child who has undergone female genital mutilation, it is one of the most costly things that you will go through, from the point of response, to the point of the healthcare, to the point of legal facilities, to the point of psychosocial support. So Groots Kenya is putting up safe spaces to be able to support these women and these girls to come on board and, get all this kind of support that we are talking about. You'll also find us doing a lot of legal and policy framework and support. That's one of the ways we are partnering with the UN Women, because remember, to be able to influence policy, you need data. And so we are actively collecting data at grassroots level, so that when we say that for us at grassroots level that a girl is, vulnerable due to 1, 2, 3 reasons, we actually have data that is proving what we are saying. So these are, in a nutshell, some of the things we are doing. You'll find us also doing economic empowerment program. We all know that when we speak about issues of FGM, early marriages, teenage pregnancies, there's a thin line between that and the relationship with poverty and the relationship with climate resilience. And so how do we build the resilience of grassroots girls to be able to fight climate change, to be able to, be economically empowered to fight this kind of injustices that they are going through? And so last but not least, we are collaborating with the government. Remember, we are not fighters of the government. We are here to do collaboration. So what does that look like? It means that we are training law enforcement officers to ensure that, for example, when a young girl who has undergone female genital mutilation goes to a police station, she has the capacity to find a gender desk where she can speak to that person without fear, without intimidation, and get actually the proper support, rather than previously where, you go to a police station and the first thing they ask you, what are you on? If you wear lashes like me, they are like, you are triggering because of the way you are dressed. If you find me on a normal day in my short dressing, then that will become, you're the one who triggered. So how do we train these police officers and these healthcare providers so that they are sensitive to these matters and they're not asking the wrong questions, but actually they are responding to the cases that are going on when it comes to the injustices with grassroots women and girls at grassroots level.
All right, Doris, first, let me just appreciate that we are 2 Dorises in the room. And secondly, just to add to that not just will they go and speak boldly and feel safe, that they will not be abused in the spaces where they should feel safe. Now, speaking on data, because that's, I think, very important, matters of data, even public participation, data, who did you choose? How did you choose? How did you know? When it comes to university funding, it's always, how do you know who's less needy, who's vulnerable? It's always the question of, who told you she's more vulnerable than I am? Who told you that household needed you? Who told you I wasn't abused and she was? And improving data availability and use, that's where I want to go to, because you've said you're collaborating with different institutions, including UN. And my question is, in 2021, new data on women's economic empowerment did inform policy action. So I'm just curious, because grassroots are vast, and so are their dialects, and so are their cultures, and how they come out is all different. I'm curious on how you actually ensure that you get accurate data. Because there are people who, when talking about women with disability or girls with disability, they're literally locked in. You cannot open that door without calling the elders or the father to come out. So how are you collaborating to ensure there is no bias? Absolutely, because even the girls are not homogeneous. How are you hacking this or acing it, if it is that way?
Thank you. Let me begin by defining for you at Groots what a grassroots girl is, who is our target person. And for us, a grassroots girl is actually a girl who comes from a rural or an informal settlement, and they do not have, now at that point, the families they come from do not have a predictable source of income. And so for us, how we are ensuring that we are collecting accurate data is, first and foremost, we are leveraging on our numbers. Remember, we have 5,000 women groups. That means if you multiply a group with about 25 people, we're talking about 750,000 persons within the movement. How is this being done? Number one, remember when you talk about data, the first thing that happens is people think, this whole book that has chapters and figures and things that you can't be able to read. We are simplifying the data that we want to collect. So if we are going to talk about issues of, for example, let me give a little example, issues of gender-based violence, and we are collecting data on the reality of the number of cases that we have. First things first, we will train people we call gender-based violence responders from this pool of groups. And so who these people are is that they are skilled, number one, on simplified data collection tools, that are grassroots level and which are even interpreted to fit their language. An example is we are working on a program in Tana River, in Garissa, in Kiambu, in Kakamega, and in Bungoma, particularly targeting survivors of gender-based violence and at risk of gender-based violence, because those are two categories. A survivor is someone who has already gone through the gender-based violence, but a survivor is, I come and tell you, hey, Doris, today my father said that tomorrow I'm going to undergo FGM. So I have to be categorized as an at risk. So what we are doing is we are simplifying the tools that we are using to collect the data. Remember, we are present at grassroots. So what that means is that we are at the village level, at the community level, at the that local mashinani at think of your village, the farthest place. So that's how we are collecting the data. We simplify what we are looking for. We simplify our tools. We use language that is feasible for them. And now when it comes to presenting, we also present it in a manner that can be interpreted by grassroots level.
Why did you choose these areas?
Why did we choose these areas?
Yes, Bungoma,
the Garissa,
Tana River.
Those 5 specific areas.
Why?
We chose them because, let me now give a story about now the particular program. So the program is called Jasiri Program, and we have many partners on board. We have the MasterCard Foundation, we have CRU, we have ADSOC, we have CCGD. So we are in CDTD. So we are in the 16 counties, and our basis of identifying the 16 counties, number one, as we've said, is data. Which are the counties, when you look at, for example, the Kenya Demographic Health Survey that was recently launched, which are the counties that we are seeing in this country that are proving that actually there are very high cases of defilement, there are very high cases of FGM, female genital mutilation. And so from the data that is proven, because remember, let's be honest, resources are limited. We can't be able to touch the entire 47 counties comprehensively. However, that's from our side. You and women, for example, have other partners who are able to go into these other counties. Remember also, the sole responsibility of the government is to offer the services that we are offering as a movement, meaning the county is also complementing in the counties that we are, the county governments and the national government are complementing in the counties that we are actually not present. So it's actually a point of collaboration. You pick from the basket. Which are the counties that you can pick, you move with them. Which are the counties that you can pick, you move with them.
Now, these counties that data has driven you towards, let's say this program was a resounding success. Or what would this success look like?
Oh, wow. Let me tell you what this success would look like. Number one, for us, success would look like the number of gender-based survivors who will have been mapped by the program. They will have gone through skilling, because remember, when you come on board as a gender-based violence survivor, it means already your confidence has been shaken. So we will have the capacity to take you through a life skill, and we can see you, transforming from the fear. One day you came to Groots and your hands were shaking. Then the next day we are seeing you having the capacity to speak out. That's success to us, number one. Number two, it's in your perpetrator being caught and justice being brought on board, because remember, we are providing legal services. Number three, it's in the capacity for you to go through actually psychosocial support from the start of the day you enter the rescue center or the shelter to the day you leave the rescue center. For the ones who are above 18, for us, success will look like actually getting on board and having the capacity to go back to society. Because remember, as a survivor, if today my husband beats me up, for example, it'll be very hard for me to stay in that community, because I'll already be earmarked as Doris, the one who the husband beats up. And so how do we cushion you? Exactly. How do we cushion you to have the capacity? And one of the ways we are doing that is that we are economically empowering these women through financial literacy trainings, through access to grants and loans, to be able to bounce back to the economy. So for us, that's what success looks like. The capacity of this girl to go beyond that, because and then now for us, the long-term success for us as a movement is the capacity of this survivor 5-10 years from now to be able to speak to another young girl who maybe will have gone through gender-based violence and tell her, remember, this is not the end of the world, because for us it's about sisterhood, the capacity to work as sisters.
I want to come back to Joshua, if you allow me, because it's very important. We're always talking about, this generation doesn't get that generation, and this generation of women should have guided these girls to understand that this is how, you should look at yourself now. Or some even blame our grandmothers and for creating the girl that you're now trying to empower, who was raised by a Gen X, who was also raised some different way. Now, generation equality. I'm very curious on how this is happening, even in connection to data. Just bring us up to speed, because the girls are a new generation right now. You said all the way to what age? 19?
19.
Yeah.
5 to 18.
Proceed up to even 24.
Oh, yeah? Those are still girls?
Yeah, because the 19, we are talking about the girls, the teenagers.
All right.
But now, as we go up to 24, we also covering that category.
But
now when you look at other demographics, we look at 15 to 49.
All right.
Now then they transit from the girls and the women. That's why you see the word women and girls, because they've moved from the women to girls. Thank you. Allow me to start a little bit on the issue of data.
Yes.
Because we are talking about the Making Every Woman and Girl Count program. I would say this is a global flagship program which was designed by UN Women to make data available, gender statistics available for use. In Kenya, we started in 2018. We've been working with Groots, for example. The data we produce is now what we share. Like she's mentioned about Kenya Demographic and Health Survey. We've also produced data on other indicators like time use survey, where we see how much of unpaid care work, unpaid care and domestic work. So I would say that we've been able to produce data support, in collaboration with the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics, produce data that informs policy and programming. What the Groots is doing is part of the programming. So the data they are using is now we are the source, and once the data is available, now we make it available to other users who will now make use of it. One of the things we've been working is on the uptake, uptake of the data produced. Because this country produces a lot of data. Before even the Women Count program, the Making Every Woman Girl Count, we call it Women Count in short. Before even the inception of this, we had data within the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics. But the usage, the analysis, the synthesis, that's what we are now trying to make sure that it's done. So we are reprocessing different data sets that are in existence and making them for use, making them available for use. Some of the things we are looking at is the threats we are talking about, the risks. When you talk about gender-based violence, we have the numbers to show, because earlier you had mentioned about how do you determine it's this one and not this one. So here we are trying to see, and what city asked about the number of counties, why they selected a number of counties. We see some of the counties being flagged up. And I'm happy you mentioned about Bungoma, because from my numbers, Bungoma seems to be on the wrong side of because in terms of gender-based violence, both sexual and physical violence, we see Bungoma recording the highest. When you look at teenage pregnancies, Bungoma becomes also up there. So then it becomes an area of intervention, because we've provided the evidence that will inform other organizations that are programming those areas to intervene. And therefore, this is what we are saying. So the generation equality here is about trying to see how we can provide information to be able to, show, this analysis, and for us to move from, to a generation where now we are thinking equality. Earlier, you had talked about issues of equality and equity. While we talk about equality and equity, these are not the same. We treat them as we are trying to give equity is where we are looking at the commensurate, like you are trying to see what you can do for both the girls and the boys,
it's
and not the ugali you mentioned.
Fairness.
Yeah, the fairness, exactly, the fairness. So we see it's not the equal share, but at least for each one to get the opportunity, to get their slice of ugali, like you said. They do not need to get the same equal size of ugali, but they get some fair share. So that is basically what we are saying.
It's a lot of work that you're doing, and it's a good job that you're doing there. And I think we need to have more of these conversations just to look at the effect of it. Even coming back to see from the work that Groots has done, say in Bungoma, what are we seeing? Are we seeing a reversal in trends? Are we seeing an improvement in trends, especially now that you have statistics that is coming from Joshua? Are we able to track that and see whether it's changing? Joshua Musiemi is a program specialist for gender statistics at UN Women. And Doris Munyenyi is a program manager at women leadership and governance at Groots Kenya. Earlier we had Sylvia Maina, regional gender statistics and communication specialist at UN Women. It's the International Day of the Girl Child, the UN Women strategy, making every woman and girl count. Give it here for more. It's 8:01.
It's now 8 o'clock with Safaricom. Go monthly with an all-in-one bundle and enjoy convenience and value with Safaricom. For just 2,000 bob a month, enjoy 17 GB data, 1,000 minutes, 2,000 SMSs, and free WhatsApp. Go monthly. Dial *544# and select Go monthly. Safaricom is for you.
Good morning, this is Newswire. Dennis Aseto. Kenyan Muslim leaders have urged President William Ruto to address the invasion of Israel into the Gaza Strip and the subsequent massacre of 42,000 people since the war broke out last year. Addressing the media during the launch of Voice of Palestine, a consortium of different organizations including Jamia Mosque Committee, Supreme Council of Kenya Muslims, National Muslim Leaders, Council of Imams and Preachers, and the Kenya Association of Muslim Medical Practitioners, expressed concern over the president's continued silence on the issue. They now want the head of state to pronounce himself on the Israel-Hamas war, which is now a global concern. Now, the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission has implored professionals in the country to cease from using their skills and competencies to abet corruption in the country. EACC Director of Ethics and Leadership, FCPA John Lolkologi, pointed out that most of the significant scandals involving theft of public funds were directly linked to professionals, especially accountants and lawyers. Lolkologi spoke in Mombasa during the official launch of ISPAC's annual Governance and Ethics Conference, where advised the participants to use their professional expertise to advance public good as opposed to enabling actions that are inimical to the well-being of the society. And members of parliament have ordered a forensic audit into the financial status of the troubled Moi University. The National Assembly's Public Investments Committee on Governance and Education wants Auditor General Nancy Gathungu to conduct the audit and avail her report within 60 days. The committee has also directed the university to freeze the implementation of new projects during the audit period. It has also directed the institution not to hire new staff until the audit is concluded. And a few days after 8 people were killed in ongoing clashes in Tana River County, 6 more lives were lost as communities continue to fight in the area. The fighting between the two communities began nearly a week ago in the Anole area before spreading to other villages including Nanige. Hundreds of residents from these villages have fled their homes in search of safety and refuge. Many are nursing injuries, with some fighting for their lives in various hospitals. The Ministry of Health has said it is investigating complaints raised by Kenyans over the just concluded polio vaccination campaign. The ministry said it has received unverified reports regarding the vaccine. Some Kenyans raised concerns over the type of vaccine administered and whether there has been a change, the side effects, and whether to worry about it. The ministry discourages Kenyans from spreading rumors and misinformation until the ministry issues official information on the matter. The ministry launched a nationwide polio vaccination campaign from October 2nd to 6th. And police in Muhoroni, Kisumu County have arrested 5 suspects linked to the torching of a house as part of a retaliatory mission after a man was killed in Kamagoma village. The five are part of a group that invaded a home later in the afternoon to avenge the death of one Joseph Otieno Ochero, who was speared to death. Police say the suspects burnt down one house and abducted a 21-year-old man who suffered cuts on his body and was rushed to Masogo Sub-County Hospital for treatment. Police, however, managed to rescue the man from the gang, which mostly had border riders, and arrested the five suspects. This is News. I'm Dennis Aseto. Good morning.
You tune into Kenya's biggest conversation. My name is Ramanya.
Amen. Amen.
So 1 hour is over?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
It gets over
Can you imagine
in 20 minutes.
what the big boys have also done?
I'm very proud of myself. When you understand about partnership in politics, it's like the way marriage is these days. When you're looking for a wife, you're like, oh, maybe you can help me pay for fees as I pay for the rent.
Why should you have a lioness living in your bedroom?
I have to tell you a story. I went for a prayer meeting, which was called for the spouses of candidates for senators and governors. And when I got to the gate, the lady who was the secretary, she refused to. She's telling me, no. Leo tunataka wa mama. Leo ni wa mama. I'm telling her, no. She said, no, sio siku yenu. And I thought, there's a problem here, because if it was a man, but this was a lady.
It will be called First Ladies until you change the name.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
102.5 SpiceFM, Kisumu.
Okay, so traffic is improving across, not improving, but it's increasing across major roads heading towards the CBD of Nairobi today. We know that because of yesterday's holiday, some people have taken an extra day off today. So Thika Superhighway is actually not looking so bad. It's just Landis Road that's now getting busy from City Stadium roundabout. It's getting busy. Langata Road is getting busy at T-Mall. Uhuru Highway is getting busy from Nyayo Stadium roundabout to Bunyala into the Railways Bridge into Haile Selassie. We're also seeing Ngong Road getting busy around Ngong Road into the City Mocha roundabout, and also Ngong Road into Valley Road into the Arguins Kothek Road. So it's also getting busy there, but not so much. Not as bad as we expect on a normal weekday. It's busy along Likoni Road, heading out of the interchange with the Southern Bypass, but I don't know what's causing it. If you know, just let us know. But the other roads are not actually so bad. Let's see how they'll be looking like in about half an hour.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is The Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
It is 9 minutes after 8. Thank you very much for tuning in, keeping it locked and keeping it here. We continue with our conversations, and we now are talking about 3,000 shillings worth of airtime courtesy of Home Fiber, Safaricom Home Fiber. So you have access to internet connectivity across the country. Safaricom Home Fiber has been doing this, has invested a lot, and what they've done now is they've invested a lot more in their redundancy system and making sure that you have better and a more robust system working. That comes with higher speeds. And what they looked at it and said, let's just increase the speeds to our existing customers and even our new customers. So you are an existing Home Fiber customer, you are getting extra speed immediately. No questions asked. It's just coming in. Now you have more speeds. Have you noticed more speeds? Let us know about it. If you have noticed more speeds, let us know about it. Also, they say if you subscribe to the Safaricom Home Fiber today and you send us a screenshot and you prove to us that you've actually subscribed and paid for whatever package, you could stand a chance of winning 3,000 shillings worth of airtime, which you can use for whatever else. Might be paying an extra month. Or if you've paid and renewed your latest month of subscription for Safaricom Home Fiber, also send us a screenshot, and at the end of this show, we'll pick somebody, one person, who could win 3,000 shillings. Okay? Our next conversation is going to talk about palliative care in the country and what is happening around that. But as we do that, let's remind you about Aga Khan University Hospital. Actually, we should just stop calling it all clinics and just say there are 54 Aga Khan University hospitals available. One main one and 53 branches. Tell them, Anki.
Yeah, I think I like that approach, because in those particular 53 others, which is nearer to you now, in your, the other generation would say ikwahood, you get to meet all these other people, dentists, nutritionists, gynecologists, urologists. So you might think in a clinic you only get a nurse, perhaps a clinical officer, but this one you actually get access to, I think, full-time, full-blown, healthcare quality for that matter, and medical attention. So the thing is, do not waste any more time. If you're feeling any sort of headache of nothing at all, just go and check up and make sure that greatest wealth of yours, which is your health, is well in check, courtesy of Aga Khan. But you know that there's a specific one in Roysambu, I believe, that will give you a little bit more, and that includes some minor surgeries. So that is the only unique aspect about the one in Roysambu. So if you're living along Thika Road and you've been wanting to visit Aga Khan, please find your way there, and for that particular reason you'll be able to get that advanced quality healthcare. So remember, it's near you now. You have to take care of your greatest wealth, which is your health.
That's true. Our next guest would know this very well. He's a doctor. He's a medical doctor. He's the chairman of the National Cancer Institute, Dr. Timothy Olwenyi. And in a previous life, he was the leader of the Private Hospitals Association of Kenya. Dr. good morning.
Morning, Eric.
How are you doing?
I'm well.
Good to see you.
Yes.
Karibu sana.
It's a pleasure to be here as usual.
Karibu sana.
Yes.
I'm sure you feel good when you hear, private healthcare expanding like this, or just access to healthcare being made more possible, right?
Yes.
And when you talk about now specialty care, which is what we'll be talking about today, we'll be talking about World Hospice and Palliative Care Day. You'll tell us more about that. It's a conversation that many people don't even understand. The the National Cancer Institute is an institution that's very, very important that many people don't understand and don't know about. You'll tell us about that. Siti will welcome you with the day's proverb. Siti, what is that proverb?
This is a proverb from the Kingdom of Morocco. We are traveling and visiting countries of the Maghreb, and we started with Morocco. Next week we'll go to Algeria, and we will look at Proverbs, and we'll look at the country and talk about it. This is a monarchy. They have a king, an all-powerful king, not these ceremonial kings whom you see on public holidays. This one actually determines what happens in the country. I like reading this. He's commander of the faithful. He's commander of the Moroccan Armed Forces. He is the head of the Supreme Council of the Judiciary. He chooses a prime minister from the political party that wins the elections. He removes ministries and creates them. He terminates parliament, meaning this fellow has power. And what's this fellow? He's called King Mohammed VI, which means there was a fifth and a fourth and a first. Anyway, he's the sixth. The proverb. They begin as neighbors and end up as mice.
That one, but they begin as neighbors and end up as mice.
Oh, neighbors, not friends.
Daktari, what's your interpretation here?
Eric, you send this gentleman back on leave. I don't know why he digs up these proverbs. They begin as neighbors and end up as mice. Well, I'll assume my interpretation would be that we've got a relationship which is kind of symbiotic, as neighbors. And if they end up as mice, I'm assuming mice are vermin, so some sort of parasitic relationship. So something that morphs from a symbiotic to a parasitic relationship. That would be my interpretation.
Yeah. Sasa weka science chini. Tell us, bwana, in normal language.
Oh, in normal language.
Okay, after they've been symbiotic.
And parasitic.
Parasitic. Okay, the parasites have been symbiotic. We've got that one now.
And they are vermin.
So it's a relationship that's mutually beneficial at the beginning, but tends to be more one-sided, where one person is taking advantage of the other. That's what I'd interpret it as.
You know, the beauty of a proverb is always this, the diversity of interpretations. And it opens your eyes to how people will look and then see. But I love your interpretation of it. It's wonderful.
Yep.
In a very brief sentence, you've actually summarized it quite well. Thank you.
And it basically just speaks to the issue.
Yeah.
Yes.
Goes straight into it. It's like, you know, there's just a doctor operating, and I'm a cutter. I mean, this mambo mingi. Mambo mingi, you forget it. We need to get to the cancer.
Yeah.
He's the chairman of the National Cancer Institute. What is that institute?
The National Cancer Institute is an organization that was set up in 2012 under the Cancer Prevention and Control Act. It is mainly charged with matters to do with treatment, prevention, and control of cancer in Kenya. And it provides more leadership, oversight, and coordination of activities in this cancer space. So that is the main mandate of the National Cancer Institute. Of course, it does that under the Ministry of Health, so it's not... It's done with definitely the oversight of the Ministry of Health, which is the parent ministry, because that's the one that again sets the overall legislation that runs everything cancer in this country. But that's it. That in essence is what the National Cancer Institute is about. So it works together with many other organizations. Any organizations that are involved in, for example, like in today's topic, you've got hospices and palliative care organizations. It is in charge of promoting awareness to do with cancer in terms of ways in which we can prevent cancer. We coordinate the treatment, make sure that the quality of treatment that cancer patients are getting in this country is up to standard. We make sure that cancer patients, for example, are not discriminated against in terms of their rights and civil liberties. That's a major concern. We see the quality of treatment that they get, and anything to do with the welfare of cancer patients in general falls within our mandate. So in general, that is it. And then also aspects to do with education, to do with research, also promoting that. And more importantly, also one of the most important things is that the cancer registry, so that we've got data that is local, that is relevant, that helps decision-making in terms of cancer, whether it's in terms of prevention, control, or treatment. So that in general is the mandate of the National Cancer Institute.
Cancer registry. You know, this is a conversation that has been there for a while. Like, do we actually have the statistics of cancer patients and the types of cancers in Kenya? Have we been able to get this now as an institute?
Well, it is work in progress. And one of the challenges that I think there is in this country is that we have got to be able, for you to be able to get that cancer registry, number one, we have got to have proper diagnosis. That diagnosis has to be made, and then the information also has to be relayed with the specific facilities where people are going. So you find, for example, there's some people, for example, who have cancer which are not even diagnosed. So those are going to fall through the cracks. So eventually, this is one of the reasons why it was important for us to have a system where we can be able to have all this data in one huge database and have that transmitted centrally, and it'll help in decision making. So that is work in progress.
Okay. Into the conversation for today, which is hospice and palliative care. What's that?
Well, palliative care is an area where it's an interdisciplinary care approach. In general, it is for patients who have got serious illnesses, chronic illnesses, and those in general that are life-limiting or life-threatening. So it's an interdisciplinary approach so that we are able to provide, first of all, the emphasis is usually in hospice and palliative care, is to optimize the quality of life. You know, quality of life, optimize quality of life, and let me just add, secondly, also, other than optimizing the quality of life, is to reduce health-related suffering. So those are two major facets of hospice and palliative care. The reason I talk about chronic illness, when you've got a malaria for 2-3 days, usually the psychological impacts are minimal. You get treated and you get well. When you've got any illness that is chronic, and especially one that is life-threatening, then now you go into a realm where we're talking about more psychological effects, and we're talking about something affecting not just you, it affects your family, it affects your ability to earn, it affects your well-being. So you can see in that space, it is more multidisciplinary because now we're involving all manner of caregivers, and that's the difference between hospice and between palliative care and the other realms. Now, palliative care and hospice care slight differences, but palliative care in general, they will say, is something that you can be given concurrently with curative treatment. For example, you are on cancer treatment, but there are certain symptoms and so on that still need to be relieved. You can get palliation at the same time. Hospice care in general in the past was now when they're saying, I don't like this term, but people used to say a terminal illness, when you got a terminal illness. I don't like that term, terminal illness, because first I think all of us are terminal. All right, so the fact is all of us are going to die. We just don't know when and how. It's just that with people, when you've got certain illnesses, you see the end as sooner rather than later. However, it also, in terms of caregiving, it became a problem, because when you've got somebody and you labeled as having terminal illness, the impression is there's no more that can be done. And then people were taken to hospices, more like to be dumped there, in terms of there's nothing more we can do for you. Unfortunately, most of the time, again, it was an issue of when the resources become depleted in the regular healthcare system, then people say, now we can move you to this. Hospice. All right? Whereas the truth is, there's still a lot can be done even when illnesses cannot be cured. And again, there's a lot of ethical issues around this, because you must remember that also as in medical ethics, there's this aspect about people are very clear about beneficence. We are supposed to do good, but we're also supposed to do no harm. And there are times when actually doctors don't know also when to stop. And there are times when it is right just to stop with the curative care, because we cannot make the endurance of the cure for the illness more painful than endurance of the same. So there are times when, and we mean well, but there are times when actually we need to stop. And especially even when you've got people who've got illnesses, sometimes you've got people in this country who are on, for example, some chemotherapy, and you sometimes look and you wonder, where is this going? Because quite clearly, it is so far gone. And sometimes you deprive the people of the opportunity to be able to spend their last days in terms of doing things that are more useful, in terms of spending time with family, being at home. You're exposing them to side effects. So that's another ethical issue which I think needs to be addressed, because we need to make sure that the people who get therapy are actually people who are going to clinically benefit from it.
So you didn't define the difference between hospice and palliative care.
Well,
hospice is institutionalized though.
Actually, both of them can be even hospice care. Hospice care is actually more. Hospice care can be institutional in terms of inpatient care or home-based care, and palliative care. The only difference is the timing of when you do it. But in general, the words, there's a lot of overlap. But a hospice, in terms, hospice is actually more of an institution. And in Kenya, we've got only outpatient hospices. But now we have palliative care units, remember, that are mainly in facilities, especially the public hospitals. So we've got a lot of overlap in terms of that. But for me, if you were to ask me, especially at the end of life, if we can have a system where we have people taken care of within their homes, it would be better. But that's one of the things that we want. It's got a lot of things to do with how we devolve that care, how we provide healthcare financing, so that we make sure people are able to be comfortable at home as opposed to being in hospitals. One of the things that I was very vocal about in my previous life as the chair of SHA is that I was very keen that we should get palliative care and home-based care and pay for it so that people can be able to stay at home. Because if you provide care only within hospitals, what you incentivize happens. Everybody's going to move from home and come to the hospital, because that's where the care is being paid for. So what we need to do is facilitate the ability for patients to be taken care of and be comfortable within their homes.
Yeah. Because I think you touched on what I was going to, bring on board, because that's the conversation. There's one thing to create these institutions, access it. There's another thing to afford it. And I'm glad you touched on it, because the conversation now, and you saw what happened, I think, at the beginning of this week, I suppose, if not last week, the kind of pain and agony that a number of patients were going through based on the transition we had. From NHIF to SHIF or SHA, and the aspect of ensuring some of these particular services that you're talking about. I mean, I speak for the layman, for the person in the grassroots, who is really thinking, where is my place in all this palliative care? How far does it go? I know you've mentioned public hospitals, but I know places where it's really deep grassroots. It's a reserve, and sometimes even the hospitals, clinics there don't operate over the weekends. I don't know if you've seen such scenarios.
Yes.
How far are you extending this, discussion of today? How far are we going, and how far have we reached, really?
Healthcare financing is a very core pillar if we're going to be able to succeed in providing the care that people need. Healthcare financing is crucial because cancer is one of those illnesses. Being a chronic illness, we have seen it time and again.
Yeah.
You start with somebody who is unwell. First of all, you've got all those costs, direct and indirect costs related to the care.
Yeah.
Then first thing that happens, there's imperfect income smoothing. And by that I mean, you're not able to sustain your level of income because first, most of the time, you're out of a job. If you're somebody who's informally employed, then what happens? You're not going to work, you're not getting paid. If you're a hawker and you usually walk around, if you're in hospital or you're unwell, you're not getting paid. Then the next thing you come to this saving. Any savings that you have disappear. Then after that, you go to the next level again. Now you start disposing of assets. Then next you go to the level of now you're borrowing and so on. So that's why healthcare financing here in this space is crucial because if you're going to be able to access care, leave alone having the facilities might be there. If you can't afford them, you can't access those services. And that's why it was extremely important, even as we tried to transform our healthcare system and our healthcare financing system, it was crucial. It is painful to see the kind of things that we saw a short while ago. That should never have happened, if you were to ask me. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is.
The discussion around cancer in this country has increased exponentially. Why is that so?
Sorry, the discussion there?
Around cancer, about cancer.
Yes. Cancer, what happens is, I think, in general, if you ask me, cancer, if you look at how cancer develops, first of all, cancer can only develop in cells that are dividing. That's why you don't have cancer of the hair and of the nails. So the more you have cells dividing, the more likelihood you'll have cancer in those cells. That's why you've got certain cells which we call, if it's dead tissue, you can't have cancer there. Those that are slowly dividing, cancer will be rare. For example, you rarely hear about cancer of the heart, for example, or of the lens, or of the neurons, leave alone brain, but the brain, the neurons themselves don't divide because there's less likelihood of them to form cancer because they're not dividing. Then those cells that are dividing very fast, like those in the gastrointestinal tract, those things because they keep being sloughing off and being replaced. For example, scales in your skin and so on. Those are the areas where you get a lot of cancer. Breast, for example, in breast tissue, cervix and so on, those are the places where you get a lot of cancer. So in terms of cancer and its development, then you've got now, first of all, people have got predisposition. Some people, it's genetic, it's hereditary, that you can do nothing about, all right? Other than looking actively to prevent, detect early, and to be able to manage. But there are also other factors that are causing the increased incidence of cancer, things to do with our lifestyle. Smoking is a big no-no. Smoking and tobacco use is one thing that I've never had anything good about. I cannot say anything good. It can only do harm.
Doesn't keep you warm?
No. Okay. I've never had that one. But in terms of health effects, there's nothing. Smoking is just bad. And it just doesn't increase just the incidence of lung cancer. It predisposes to other forms of cancer as well. But these are now causing tissue damage. And when there's tissue damage, there's a tendency to repair. You're increasing the rate of multiplication. Again, you're predisposing yourself to cancer.
So do we have more incidences of cancer in this country? Or is it that we've become more adept, we are better at diagnosing and understanding it?
I think it's a combination of both. Our lifestyles have definitely contributed to the increased incidence of cancer as we get in touch with more what we call carcinogens because we are ingesting them, we are smoking them. There's an aspect of pollution. There's also obesity in itself, which is also a risk factor for cancer in itself. So there are a lot of things. As we use more drugs and so on, I'm sure the incidents, those things contribute. But then again, the aspect of diagnosis. In the village, I'm sure in the past, there are a lot of people who used to pass away. I know in my village, there's this term called yamo, which is like a wind. They just say it's like a wind. Somebody just got this wind and died, I'm sure. A lot of those things were possibly cancer,
or witchcraft.
So there are a lot of things that before were not diagnosed that we're diagnosing now. So it's a combination of both. But the truth is, cancer is going to take center stage in terms of our healthcare system. And the truth is, again, a lot of the cancers are preventable. I can't stop laughing. There are a lot of cancers that we have that are preventable as well, because we have to limit these things. It could be even up to be 4 out of 10 cancers. So those are the things that we need to do.
There are parts of this country that have been mentioned as having higher incidences than others. What is the predisposition? What is it that one looks for when you're saying that certain areas not are likely to, but already have that predisposition?
Well, it could be something to do with the environment. For example, it could be something to do with the diet, with their lifestyle. For example, things for example, people who've got diets predominantly smoked food, smoked fish, and so on. Possibly those are things that are high risk in terms of esophageal cancer and so on. So it's got to do with environment. It could be something pollution. There could be some factory. There could be something in the environment that is causing increased risk of cancer. So there are a lot of components that it's a very complex space. But in general, suffice it to say that there are a lot of things that we can do as prevention, and one of the things that the National Cancer Institute that we have to do is to promote awareness in terms of being able to limit, and then prevention, early detection, because especially in a country which is resource constrained like ours, we cannot afford to be waiting and getting people when they're diagnosed late. We have to prevent those that we can. Those that we end up getting cancer, we have to diagnose them early and manage them accordingly.
The prevention story is a good one, Daktari. When it's told, it sounds really nice.
Yes.
But it's not just for cancer. When you talk about healthcare,
yes,
it is argued, and argued correctly, that it ought to be the way. But that's where it begins and ends. We talk about it. How do you go about preventing or limiting the possibility of people actually acquiring cancer? What is it that you do? Early detection, yes, test. But having known the predisposition and the factors that contribute to it, what is it that needs to be done?
Awareness promotion, so that we promote healthy lifestyles. And people will get to know that, number one, these are the risks that we put ourselves to if we engage in certain behaviors, like I've talked about, the smoking, excessive alcohol consumption. We talked about some viral infections, for example, which have predisposed people to cancer, for example, HPV, EBV, and so on. We need to be able to look for ways of being able to control that, diagnose it early, and controlling our environment. So if there's an aspect to do with pollution, we have to be able to control it. Let us make sure that foods that we're having in this country, for example, the level of toxins, carcinogens, we've got a lot of pesticides possibly in our environment. So those are the things that we need to be able to manage. But more importantly, when it comes to screening, and this way I'm saying in terms of deploying the resources, the cancers that are most common, let's first of all start with the ones that are most common and do something substantive about them. It's breast cancer, cervical cancer, prostate cancer, esophageal cancer. Those are things that we should be able to focus on and concentrate and look for ways of being able to diagnose early. There are some that are more difficult. For example, the gastrointestinal cancers, those ones that are alimentary canal. Usually, most of the time, you have to take a scope and look in. It's a bit more of an invasive procedure. But for colorectal cancer, for example, if we can be able to see blood in the stool, we've got certain tests we can do for prostates. For men, we can be able to do PSAs. For breast cancer screening, we can be able to do that, cervical cancer screening. If we're able to start with those, because by and large, those are almost up to 50% of the cancers we deal with in this country. So that would be the area where we want to deploy our resources, where we're getting best bang for our buck.
That's true. Let's take a break at 27 minutes to 9. Our guest this morning is Dr. Timothy Oluenya, Health Friday Conversation ahead of tomorrow. Tomorrow is the, what's the day tomorrow? What's it called globally?
World Hospices and Palative Care Day.
World Hospices and Palative Care Day.
And it's on the 2nd October of every year.
Yes. Second
Saturday of every year.
2nd October.
Sorry, the second Saturday in October of every year.
Oh, great.
Second Saturday of October in every year. Yes. Tomorrow, the 12th, is the second Saturday of October, and that's why we're having this conversation today, just to understand hospice and palliative care. We'll be back shortly. Siti, please tell Daktari about loop. First of all, define loop. What is the loop?
Well, if you were to define loop comprehensively, it's a process where you move forward and you engage in diverse activities. But in that process, you go back to the beginning, meaning the end ties with the beginning. Now, that's a loop. So nothing is lost. Now, the loop that we are referring to here is an app that does precisely that. You know, every time you think money, you think fintech if you're in the 21st century, or you think bank, or you think SACCO. Now, the Loop app does more for you in this day and age than anything you may have encountered. One, it helps you manage your money in a way that you previously couldn't have. Like that building you're putting up in your rural home, there's this fundi who keeps calling you. If you know the progress, you can actually time the payments, time it. So the payment actually goes to him at the designated time, and you don't have to worry. Whether it is weekly, whether it is monthly, whether it is every 2 days, done. If it's a question of determining how it is you want to save, or what it is you want to buy. That app enables you to do all that. But it doesn't stop there. The app enables you to actually even get an overdraft. It even allows you to even get a loan. Yes, it does. All the factors considered. It's not as though you download the app and you get a loan immediately. That won't
Terms and conditions.
Terms and conditions
will apply, yes.
So you get app by downloading it on the Play Store, Google Play Store, Apple App Store. Go there, find Loop. It's orange in color and it has an L, and you download it, register, sign up. It's very, very easy. While on the Play Store and App Store, you can also download the latest, most improved Naivas app. Naivas saves you money. And as you get there, then you can shop from Naivas across the country. But also, the bigger thing is, if you're in Nairobi and you want to get a 24 hours Naivas, you can get these ones: Naivas Westlands, Airport View, Ronald Ngala, Moi Avenue, Development House, Kingara, which are 24 hours. 2 new ones. Where are they?
Oh, they're in Utawala.
Right.
And Okoh Kwanyama. Kamakis.
Very good.
Wait, bypass.
Kamakis. Naivas, Kamakis, and Naivas Utawala are now 24 hours. Keep it here for more. It's 2049.
Money on your rising electricity bill with StarTime Solar Home Solution. We offer a complete home and commercial energy saving system that includes solar panels with 15-year warranty, lithium battery with 10 years warranty, and an inverter with 5 years warranty. StarTime Solar Home Solution is efficient, reliable, and safe to power essential appliances, complete home lighting, refrigerators, air conditioners, washing machines, microwaves, iron box, instant shower, and entertainment devices, television, computers, Wi-Fi, and so much more. Say yes to reduced electricity bills and call us today on 0719 077 777 and get started on your green energy journey today. StarTime Solar. Power your life.
Hello? Hello, Mama Jaden. We need some things for the house and for cooking. Sugar, flour, soap, and I don't know if you'll be able to buy them today. It's too late.
Mora, don't worry. The best thing is that we have Naivas and it's now 24 hours.
Enjoy the convenience of shopping anytime with Naivas Supermarket. Now, Naivas Kamakis and Naivas Utawala are 24 hours. That is, you can shop at any time. These branches join Naivas Westlands, Airport View, Ronan Gala, Moi Avenue, Development House, and Kingara, which is 24 hours. In addition, enjoy stress-free shopping on the improved Naivas app. Naivas saves you money.
The weather with SpiceFM.
Warming up in Nairobi, what are the temperatures looking like now? 15 degrees and sunny, highs of 25. Mombasa is sunny at 27. Malindi is sunny at 28. Eldoret is sunny at 16. Kakamega sunny at 21, highs of 28. Nyeri sunny at 15, highs of 26. Sunny in Nakuru at 17, highs of 26. Kinshasa is 25 and sunny, highs of 32. Kampala mostly sunny at 19, highs of 26. Johannesburg mostly sunny at 18, highs of 30. Partly sunny in Lagos at 25, highs of 31. Mogadishu mostly sunny at 28, highs of 31. Partly sunny in Addis Ababa, 15, highs of 19. Dar es Salaam sunny at 25, highs of 31. Paris mostly cloudy at 8, highs of 15. London partly cloudy at 3, highs of 13. New York clear skies at 9, highs of 20, and Beijing sunny at 22, getting into a warm afternoon at 24.
Sugar and spice and everything nice. Spice FM.
Spice up your life.
So there's an issue on Likoni Road. That's when you come off the southern bypass as you're heading towards Enterprise Road. It's been building up there as you head into that river, into the railway crossing. I don't know what's causing it. If you know, let us know on SpiceFM KE. We'll let everybody else know. Jogoo Road is okay. As you get into town, Landis Road is busy around the Gikomba Market and into Kamukunji. But then after that, it clears. Mombasa Road was busy as you get to Nyeri Stadium roundabout. It's now cleared. Huru Highway is also okay. Railways Bridge is moving towards the Haile Selassie roundabout. Langata Road is okay. Ngong Road is fine. As you're heading towards town, Thika Superhighway is not bad at all this morning, in comparison to what we see normally. Westlands heading in towards town is usually very busy around Mugoga Green. It's not so busy. It's moving Okay, it's busy, but it's moving. James Kishoro Road is fine. Kabete Road heading towards town, that's Lower Kabete, is okay. Limuru Road in and out, fine.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Remember, all-in-one package by Safaricom. That is, you dial star 544 hash. That's star 544 hash. And then you go to Go Monthly. That's option number 4 in the suite of options that will come up. It will open another suite of options. Choose option number 1. It's all-in-one. After that, now choose the one that you want. You'll find there's a 500 bob, 1,000 shillings, 2,000 shillings, 3,000 shillings, other. Choose what you like. It gives you data, calling minutes, SMSs, free WhatsApp, all for 30 days. That's the way to go. Remove stress from your life, my friend. Live stress-free. Go all-in-one. Dr. Timothy Oluenyi is the chairman of the National Cancer Institute. He's our guest today. Tomorrow, second Tuesday of October, like happens every year, we'll be commemorating World Hospices and Palliative Care Day. Daktari, this is a big conversation, and Kenyans don't actually get the hospice and palliative care. The Kenyans who go and work abroad, for example in America, and they're in the care homes, those are working in palliative care homes, are they not? It's hospice and palliative care.
Well, palliative care is specifically for those with illness.
Those ones who are
you've got certain homes that take care of people who are elderly, for example, who opt to stay in certain places. So that's different. But when you've got anybody who's got serious illness that is chronic and life-threatening, and especially when it gets to those points where cure is no longer possible, then they got to get more and more involved into palliative and hospice care.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. In Kenya, do we have many of those?
Yes, we've got a lot of hospices and palliative care units because, by the way, starting with the Nairobi Hospice, we started in the late 90s. I remember when I was a young doctor, once I graduated, especially things to do with palliative care, we were not taught much about that in med school. So I remember, and here I'm giving away my age, in 1999 I went to the Nairobi Hospice and I said I wanted to learn a little more about cancer, especially in the terminal stages, because you realize when you're out there in the field, curative care, you're very clear on what to do. But once it gets to the point where now cure is no longer possible, then you feel stranded. And then you don't have this multidisciplinary approach where you've got a team of people who can take care of them. And you find that you can't do much. So that's what hospices were created to do. So that's why I talked about the interdisciplinary component, where you've got caregivers, whether it's nutritionists, whether it's medical doctors, it is nurses, it's physiotherapists, it's speech therapists, and so on. Anybody who is going to help in the making these patients comfortable. And that's why I talked about being interdisciplinary. It has got to do with quality of life. And the emphasis here, we're not adding days into people's lives. Life into their days.
It's life into the days.
That is the difference. That is the difference. And then in addition to that, anything health-related suffering and especially pain. We've got so many patients in this country who suffer through pain. And I remember even at that time, and even up to this time, you've got people who are terminally ill and in a lot of pain. And somebody tells you, I'm not going to give these measures in terms of giving certain drugs because they're going to get addicted. You know, opioids and so on. I'm like, so what? You understand? The objective has to be to make patients comfortable, and you go to whatever extent you need to make people comfortable. And that's the only way that they can be able to function, add quality into their life. You might have somebody, for example, who has got some last words he wants to be able to tell his family and so on before he passes away. And in the circumstance when they're in a lot of pain, they cannot be able to function. You deny them that opportunity. And that's why I'm saying it has to be one where care shifts. Care shifts, and the focus, in fact, as you go on, the focus even becomes more on the family and the caregivers as opposed to the patients themselves. Because, and that's why I'm saying that mindset about palliative care, it is important. It is not just an issue of saying hospice care that when we can do nothing, when you run out of money, send you to the hospice, all right? But there are hospices that are functioning in this country, palliative care units. The only problem is we've got almost 800,000 people in this country who need palliative care. The proportion who access it is dismal.
Why?
It's a very small amount because we don't have the resources we've deployed to this function. At the end of the day, and even at the hospices, you realize most of the time the funding was dependent on external donors. All right? And it has to be, and that's why the issue of healthcare financing again comes back, because you have got to make sure that if it is important, then we have to fund it, isn't it? And so that's one of the biggest shortcomings we have in terms of funding, and that's why I've said this funding also has to be continuous from the stage where people are receiving active care, to the point where they're in hospital, to the point where they're going to be at home, and all the way up to the point when they pass away.
Interesting. Every time Dr. speaks, you mentioned something I'm about to ask. And you've mentioned that there is the resource challenge, but I also am very invested in people's mentality. Yeah, maybe they're listening in today and they're thinking, well, that is something for the rich people. You've heard that before. This mentality of, ayoni, ya watu wako, wanaweza. Yeah, but there's also another concern of people are not mentally confident to be in these spaces. Perhaps if you could just demystify some of the myths you have heard or some of the fears the public might have in as far as accessing, palliative care. Is it? Some think it's a sign of, giving up. Family members could feel it's a sign of giving up on their person. Maybe you could share with us the need to have all these other, people or professionals around your person deeper for them to understand it's not just a matter of we've given up on you. It is positive, and I know you've mentioned it, but just to change the mindset that lies with first the patient and the family.
I think one of the first things that has to come is, first of all, the healthcare professionals who are involved in curative care have got to be very clear when communicating this transition to hospice and palliative care. It's not one of those where we're saying there's nothing we can do for you.
Because that's what many will.
It has to be clear that we have done what we can in terms of the curative care. Now you need to move on to the next stage of care. And this is what we're going to do for you. And kind of also enumerate. But it's not one of those where you're saying, I'm handing you over to so-and-so, and we're done with you.
It's a next stage of care.
In fact, a lot of the time, there's still room for them to be able to come back if there's need to be referred back and forth. But the key thing is just a mindset, first of all, the healthcare professionals and how things are communicated. And also, that's why you've got a lot of people, for example, people who are psychologists and so on, who are involved as part of this team, because the ramifications of a life-threatening diagnosis or life-limiting diagnosis are massive to a lot of people. So that's why I'm saying it has to be handled delicately, and it has to be handled by the professionals who are competent to do it. Now, there's nothing to say, there's no predilection in saying that socioeconomic status is what determines whether people get cancer. In fact, the people who bear the brunt of cancer and its effects is going to be more those people who are low income. And that's why it is important for us to be able to protect them.
You said healthcare professionals who understand. Do they? Can we confidently say that, in the many healthcare professionals that we have, from the doctors, especially now those ones who are dealing with these chronic illnesses, and the nurses and the other professionals, that they understand very well. When I get to this stage, then the most logical thing then is to move to the next step. And the next step is going to be palliative care. And palliative care does not mean that I've washed my hands.
Yes.
Because I'm a cancer doctor. And now this guy, we've tried everything, so let me just hand them over to nurses. Do they understand?
I think by and large they do. There's one thing to have the knowledge. Another thing to have the attitudes and practices change as well. And so that might be the area where we have a challenge. And I know healthcare professionals in this country are generally under a lot of pressure. But what I would appeal is there are certain patients who require a little more time than the regular patient. And this is going to be one of those in that category. So it is very important that even if you don't have the sufficient time to devote it to their care, I think it is important that you involve the professionals who will still give them the care that they need. Because sometimes you've got a long queue of 40, 50 people you have to see in a day. You've got some guys who've got malaria, some guys with some pneumonia, some guys with the flu, and so on. Then there's this one person who comes in who actually happens to have a life-threatening illness. That's why I'm saying it has to be that we look for ways in which we can be able to facilitate these people getting a little more attention than everybody else. Because even in terms of explanation, one thing you must remember, somebody never ever forgets the day and the manner in which their cancer diagnosis was revealed to them. And those are the things that sometimes we might forget as doctors. But the interesting thing is, when you're on the under end of things, if you've got somebody who is a relative, I've had parents, for example, a father who had cancer and so on, when you're on the under end of things, then somehow you kind of see where the problems in our healthcare system are. And it's not even just in Kenya. These problems are there worldwide. Even if you've seen, we have got some certain things that we need to address in terms of how we communicate, how we empathize with people. Because you've got people, for example, I've got a patient who was told by a doctor in one of the hospitals out of this country, just told, there's nothing we can do now. Maximum 6 months.
I think that's common.
Right?
And that's put like that.
And guess what? This patient was alive 2 years later, right?
Yeah.
So there's certain
and
things.
they always look back at that doctor and say, eat that.
They even make songs. they
Right? So
songs
sometimes
around
people, we make fundamental mistakes in terms of communicating certain things. And I remember once we had a patient, when I was a student at Kenyatta National Hospital. There's a time when I had, you know how you listen to chatter and you listen to patients talking, and somebody goes in for radiotherapy and they are given an appointment. That time it used to be like 6 months later.
Yeah.
And you know what I had them saying? They said, these doctors, what they do is they look at you and assess and see how long you're going to live and give you an appointment date after your anticipated date of death. You see how that comes out? So the impression is the doctors actually have got no intention of doing anything for you. All right? Of course, that is not true. But you can see what the interpretation from the point of the patient was. Because first of all, they don't understand. You're telling me I've got a life-threatening illness. And then telling me to come 6 months later. But the doctor also doesn't have a choice. They're looking at this queue. And, that's when the next booking is.
Dr. Is there a unit in medical school where you're taught how to counsel patients?
I'll say there is, but I don't think, and I have to be honest, I'm a little bit of an older person, so I'm going to be talking about my experience at that time.
That's what I'm interested in.
It was not sufficient. And in fact, let me tell you, there are a lot of the things that once you come out of medical school, you realize are the main things that you're going to be dealing with, and you're ill-equipped. So there are certain things that you need, again, retraining. And that's what becomes important. And that's why I was saying, for example, I had to come back and say, let me learn about palliative care. And it was the same, for example, with HIV. The time when I went to school, HIV management was basically, there was not much that could be done. After that, ARVs came in and I had to go back and say, let me learn about these things, because you realize you're ill-equipped. So the aspect about continuing education, and which now has become even much more prominent, fortunately, because with globalization, the issue of doing webinars and doing things online, now things have improved. Those days, it was not that easy. You'd have to go back to school physically, look for textbooks and so on. So these things are improving, but there's still a lot of room for improvement in terms of how, especially, we manage patients, and more importantly, we get support from other professionals who are better at doing this than us or have got more time.
Dr. Would you say that, what you're driving at is that it's important for medical personnel to also understand that we need to move to the patient-centered approach and as far as this particular care is concerned? Is that what you're saying? Patient-centered, or? I
think care in general always should be patient-centered, but especially in circumstances where you've got illnesses that are chronic, that are life-threatening or life-limiting.
I know this might not, be the best time to ask it, but it's important because misdiagnosis. I keep talking. Sometimes people are like, "Oh, she speaks," but I speak for the man who's probably boarding a matatu right now, and a woman or a child, for that matter. And people are sometimes, because we need to screen, we need to come out, because there's no way I would know I need to come for treatment if I don't know that I have cancer. Sometimes we come out when it's too late, when now it's a serious migraine. I'm supposing, but misdiagnosis. The cases, and if you've heard of any, perhaps if there's statistics around it, but this has gotten the level of confidence a bit low for majority, if I would speak for, to even come out for the free screenings, because they're like, what if it will not be as efficient? What if I'll be treating something I don't have? What if mentally I'll be tortured over something I really don't have? What would you speak on? What would you say in regards to this scenarios? Even if there are few, those lives matter.
Misdiagnosis is a bit of a complicated, a mixed bag. We must remember, first of all, you've got patients also have a role to play when it comes to misdiagnosis.
Okay.
Patients first must give the right information. And I'm sure you've seen circumstances where people go in and they asked, do you have any difficulty passing urine and so on? No. Right? Or have you ever seen blood in stool? No, for example. All right? So first of all, patients have got a role to play in terms of giving the accurate history and then, of course, also being able to access the facilities. Now, then there's an aspect about the medical facility and the healthcare provider. If those things have got shortcomings, and we know in our country in general, we still have a lot of shortcomings in terms of the availability of qualified personnel and the availability of the facilities for them to be able to do their work properly. So sometimes the misdiagnosis comes because of these shortcomings. Sometimes the information is not right. You don't have the right healthcare professional. You don't have the right equipment to be able to diagnose. So first of all, that causes a lot of delay. So sometimes misdiagnosis and delayed diagnosis are a mixed bag of things. Of course, there are also times when you've got somebody who is not diagnosed properly because they also don't have the resources. Sometimes you're told, go and have this test done. and they leave. They'll not be diagnosed in time. They leave and they're still looking for the money. And life happens. They've got other priorities and so on. So they were told, go and do this test. By the time they come back now, it becomes more obvious. So some of those things, there are a lot of shortcomings in our healthcare system, and it's something that goes both ways. But one thing I want to encourage the public is, as much as possible, access the care. I know there's always a fear that, oh, you will find this, you will find this. But the truth is, the difference is, if it's there, it's there. Whether you know about it or not, it is there, right? So, but at the end of the day, in terms of handling this, I understand the concerns that the public have, and they've got a lot of pressures, a lot of competing interests, and so on. So when you tell people just go for screening, and especially if it's going to be costing them money, they've got other priorities, isn't it? They've not been able to put $1 million on the table. They've got school fees to take care of. They've got transportation. So there are a lot of competing interests. And that's why it's important from a perspective as a country, we have to prioritize these things, because we know the burden that cancer is causing in this country. And we know the kind of resources we're deploying. We have to make sure that we shift this to preventive and promotive so that we minimize the amount of resources that are required at a later stage. And more importantly, improve the health outcomes so that we have got a productive population that can be able to move us to the level of Singapore 3.2.
I want to go back to that training thing that I mentioned. When doctors are trained, are they trained to understand and to have a back and forth with their patients? Because the experience of many people who've gone to doctors is the doctor tells you, he's the one who tells you and talks to you. And they don't accommodate questioning and pushback. Like, why am I being given this drug? I'm simply saying that are doctors trained to take the time, even as they're diagnosing? The pressure doctors are under, immense, there's no question about it. But if a patient feels they can talk with the doctor, the doctor is more likely to get more information. That's really what I'm getting at. Because they are asked, they answer, there's a discussion about it. But the pressure that is there, there's probably the feeling that, you really can't have that discussion because there are 10 other patients waiting or 20 other patients waiting. Now, you heard my question. Does training allow for that? Because you say it's both ways, and I agree. If I feel I'm talking to somebody who's going to be giving me instructions that doesn't want to listen to me, then I will give as little information as possible.
Yeah. The truth is, doctors are trained. Every doctor is trained in that manner. You have got to listen to your patients. You have to examine your patients. Then after that, you're going to make a tentative diagnosis. You'll do whatever tests that you need to do and come up with a diagnosis and provide treatment. No, it is part of the training continuously. That's all clinical training. However, one of the things that I have to accept, and one of the things I keep telling a lot of people sometimes, the reason why, for example, herbalists and quacks take away a lot of our patients is because of that aspect you're talking about.
Yes.
These guys have got nothing else. As we are thinking about all these pathological processes and processing stuff, these guys, they just sit and listen.
They listen.
And they give them time. And people feel that they've got hearing and so on. So they are more likely to feel, whatever treatment comes
they're
out
going
of
to pick. They're going to pick the diagnosis from what you say.
And manipulate you. And manipulate
the neighbor.
Yes.
Huyo neighbor umetaja sana, there must be an issue with that.
Kuna macho.
Kuna mtu amepitia kwako.
Yes.
Akakuangalia vibaya. Kuna mtu amekusalimia juzi.
Kuna paka nyeusi hapo karibu na jirani.
Yes. But that's why it is important also for us to be able to optimize the use of our resources, including healthcare professionals. Make sure that people have got a workload that is relevant, so that you've got, for example, and especially when it comes to specialists, let it be that specialists are seeing the patients they need to see, as opposed to seeing all the general. That's why streamlining the healthcare system is important. So you don't have somebody waking up with a headache in the morning and saying, I want to go and see a neurosurgeon, and occupying the space that somebody else who's been referred by another healthcare professional should take. So these are the things that we have, but of course it still boils down to the aspect of healthcare finances.
There's a term I came across.
You have 30 seconds.
No, that term can wait.
Can we share that time?
Cut the story short.
I'll just go tell the story.
I think my opinion would be, and for us to understand some of these terminologies, like we're shouting about, bills and stuff like that being translated, how do you tell someone these are cancer cells that are in their mother tongue?
Anki Doris.
Okay,
I said City had 30 seconds. Now you're taking 40.
I am done.
Dr. Timothy Oluenyi, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thanks. Thanks for inviting me.
Dr. is the chairman of the National Cancer Institute, and he's been here talking to us about hospice and palliative care, because tomorrow is World Hospices and Palliative Care Day. As we commemorate that, we have now gotten to understand a bit more. Thank you for keeping it locked here on Kenya's biggest conversation. the Situation Room. Remember, you are on Eastern Bypass. Pass by Kamaki's, you'll find the 24-hour Naivas. Or in Utawala, 24-hour Naivas. It's 9 a.m.
Spice up your life.
Good morning, this is Newswire. Dennis Aseto. President William Ruto is expected to meet with the visiting acting Haitian Prime Minister Gary Conil, who is in the country for a 4-day state visit. Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi welcomed Conil after he landed at the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport on Thursday. Conil is expected to hold high-level bilateral talks with President William Ruto surrounding strengthening security cooperation and fostering partnerships that promote regional stability between Kenya and Haiti. The government has announced a fresh onslaught on businesses and will be looking to ride on pay bills and till numbers to nab tax evaders after E-teams failed to solve the issues. A plan disclosed by senior economic advisor to the President Moses Kuria revealed that the state is planning to convert mobile money pay bill and till numbers into electronic tax registers by December 25th in a bid to catch tax evaders. This is after more than 3/4 of registered companies nabbed Kenya Revenue Authority's electronic tax invoice management system in its first year of operation, dealing a blow to efforts to drive compliance and curb tax evasion. Data from the taxman shows that only 120,000 registered taxpayers with business income had signed up to E-teams in the year to June 2024, representing 18.1% of about 663,000 firms in taxman's books. And the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission has shortlisted 14 candidates for the position of Chief Executive Officer. In a notice published in the dailies, EACC listed the candidates, inviting them to an interview at the Public Service Commission House, Arambe Avenue, Nairobi. The interviews will be held in the first floor boardroom. The interviews will be conducted from November 19th to November 21st, 2024. On November 19th from 9 a.m. to 3:30 p.m., 5 candidates will face the interview panel. These include Stephen Mashangoa, Doreen Kata Mudaura, Jackson Kaunda Mue, Joseph Vincent Onyango, and Paul Ndemo Maina. On November 20th, the interviewees will be Vincent Omari Okoh, Peter Lokol Lomulen, Obadiah Kipkoech Keitany, John Tentemo Olemoyaki, and David Kiplagat Ruto To. And public services in Nandi County remain paralyzed for the 4th week following the sacking of over 1,800 workers after a staff audit revealed a massive payroll scam that cost the county more than 2 billion shillings. Most departments are not working amid fears the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission may soon arrest those involved in the payroll scam that was exposed after Governor Stephen Sang invited the Public Service Commission to carry out a human resource audit. The Health Department is worst hit as the county is battling another crisis, with more than 144 public hospitals shut down following a strike by medical workers and shortage of medical supplies. The strike that started this week has forced patients to seek services in private hospitals and the Moi Teaching and Referral Hospital in Eldoret. Parents seeking treatment at Kapsabet County Referral Hospital and sub-county facilities were turned away as health workers staged demonstrations in Kapsabet town. Now, Vihiga Acting County Commissioner has warned residents against engaging in Disco Matanga. Disco Matanga is a dance event organized during vigils by most communities in Kenya as they wait to bury their loved ones. Community members, youth and children engage in the overnight celebrations at the deceased person's homestead. In most cases, it starts and lasts as long as the funeral arrangements are underway, mostly around 2 weeks, with the night before the burial being the peak. Commissioner Florence Itawa said the nighttime dance ceremonies are an additional cost to the bereaved. Now, we won't tolerate counterfeits in Machakos County, says Deputy Governor Francis Mangangi. Mangangi said some unscrupulous investors were robbing Kenyans through counterfeits and contrabands. Counterfeits are products made in exact imitation of something valuable with the intention of to deceive or defraud. They are not same as contrabands, goods that have been imported or exported illegally, either in defiance of a total ban or without payment of the relevant duty. This is News. I'm Dennis Asseto. Good morning.
.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
All right, so we've said today is no traffic. I think the Mazingira Day was extended to today. The people who have decided, Nini, I went to plant trees in Shags, so I was able to come back today. So as you look at the roads, Lower Kabete, Wayaki Way, Uhuru Highway, Jogoo Road, Thika Super Highway, Kiambu Road, Juja Road, Eastern Bypass, Southern Bypass, Northern Bypass, Western Bypass, all of them are looking all right. So if you find any kind of traffic, just know it's a short distance and thereafter it'll move.
This is the Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
7 after 9, this is the final hour of the Situation Room this week. Thank you very much for keeping it locked here on KTN, on SpiceFM, on YouTube, on Facebook, on X, on TikTok, on Radio Garden, all the platforms that we broadcast in every morning, reaching people from not just Nairobi, but across the globe. We are glad that you are tuned in. Asanteni sana. Sitting. Ebu just remind everybody that we are giving them 3,000 shillings if they subscribe to Safaricom Home Fiber. And what is Home Fiber?
Yes, let me just start with how you subscribe. Star 400 hash.
Yes.
Kishafika hapo. One of the things that you will then do, you will go to your phone, because that's where the hash and the star will feature. And then well, why we are talking about this is because of the immense benefits that you get from it. The thing about internet for the longest time was the speed. Somebody would say they have internet, but when you switch on your gadget, you take a walk, go and drink some tea, come back, then you're able to access it. But they're saying with this Home Fiber, the one thing you're guaranteed is increased speed. Depending on whatever you chose, if you have the bronze and what you had been given before was 10 Mbps, you now get 15. You don't have to do anything.
Yeah.
You just get it.
Automatic.
If you're on 20, a bump. If you are on 30, a bump. If you're essentially, you will get more speed. It's really not complicated. Whether you were somebody who's renewing or whether you're someone who is just a new consumer of the product, you will enjoy the same privileges.
Indeed.
Yes.
Indeed. So 3,000 shillings if you can send us a screenshot of your latest transaction, whether you've renewed your payment to Safaricom Home Fiber or you have subscribed to Safaricom Home Fiber. Send us a screenshot on SpiceFM KE on X or on Facebook. You go and send us a message we are going to select one person who will receive 3,000 shillings worth of airtime, courtesy of Safaricom. Something that you talked about yesterday, Anki Doris, and you were able to subscribe to Loop.
Yes. Yes.
But you see the Lou, now you see the L, you see what the L means.
Yeah, I see the L. It's a lifestyle. I'm a changed person. Yeah, it's lovely. Yeah, I'm looping. Yeah, I love it. It's orange.
So L
it's my
is
favorite.
love, lovely, lifestyle.
Yeah.
Luo. All mean the same thing, don't they?
Oh, yes, they do. I fall in those categories.
They all mean the same thing.
Yeah.
It makes your life much easier, right? When you subscribe to Loop. Download it today on your App Store or Play Store. Our next conversation is going to be about hospitality. And, you know, you have seen the Boma International Hospitality College. You've even heard of the Boma International Hospitality College students who are going globally and winning international awards. And you're like, Allah.
Yes.
Allah. Right? Now, the director of the Boma International Hospitality College, who's also the CEO of the Boma Pan-African Limited, is Dr. Abbas Gulet. OGW, MBS, kila kitu. Acha tukuongeza AGH. Itakuja. Mashujaa Day, just a few days from now. Right? Daktari, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
Eric, I'm good.
Hey, it's been a while.
Yes.
Yeah? You have been a very busy person, but then you went underwater for a while, and now we are seeing you emerging here. What have you been up to since the last time we saw you in your very, very active days in Red Cross, and now you're in Boma?
My active days, 6 years ago, I decided to take a break and retire from Kenya Red Cross, which I had been there for about 15 years. But I've been with the Red Cross now to close to over 50 years. So I took a back seat, and the board of the Kenya Red Cross asked me if I could manage their commercial entities. As you're aware, they had been running businesses, hotel, the Boma brand of group of hotels, Emergency Medical Plus Services, which is an ambulance company, Switch Television, and BIHC, Boma International Hospitality College. So I've been quietly the last 6 years behind the scenes running that out of Dusit, but more recently this year I came back to South Sea, so where I'm based, and it's been quiet, but quite active in doing something totally new, something interesting, something where quietly you could make impact from a different perspective than what I've done over many years of the Red Cross, Red Crescent work.
Very good.
Yeah.
Well, I'll get into that Boma International Hospitality College conversation shortly. We'll be talking about the Ladha za Africa and what that means.
Sure.
But City will first give you the day's proverb. Have you been to Morocco, Abbas?
No.
You haven't?
No.
Hey, you're a man
There's
who's
one
well-
place,
you're a
one
man
place
who's
I've
very
not
well
been.
traveled.
There was many years I was supposed to go there, then something happened and I didn't go. But it's in my itinerary that I should go to Morocco.
Don't
because
worry.
Lots of friends.
Today, City will transport you to Morocco.
Okay.
Because this week he's been giving us proverbs from Morocco.
Okay.
He's been telling us about the king. The king is number 6.
The sixth, Mohammed.
He's Mohammed the sixth. You know the thing about
A rich man.
he's actually genuinely wealthy. That dynasty began in the 8th century. So it's not one of these fly-by-night dynasties that came just the other day. Okay? But he is, as I said in the previous hour, not a ceremonial monarch. He is actually...
He's an absolute monarch.
He's an executive monarch. Yes, he is the commander of the faithful. He's the commander of the Moroccan Armed Forces. He's the head of the Supreme Council of the Judiciary.
Wow.
Yes, it is he who decides who the prime minister will be from the party that wins an election. He decides on the ministries that the country has, and he can remove or add ministries. He can also terminate the life of parliament. And as I said in the previous, I'm saying it again. African leaders listening to this saying, why did we choose democracy?
The proverb?
They begin as neighbors and end up as mice.
They begin as neighbors and end up as mice.
Yes.
Dr. Gulet, what do you think this proverb is saying?
They begin as neighbors and they end up as mice. Wow. I'm actually at a loss.
Ameanza kama jirani, anamalizia kama panya.
Wow. Hiyo ni kali. That one is a tough one. Well,
give it a try.
We have, I don't know whether I equate it to our current situation in our country. Because walikuwa majirani, walikuwa marafiki, sasa wamekuwa dunia ingine. Hawaonani, hawasikizani sasa.
That is very good. You know, the beauty, we say this in every hour, the beauty of interpreting the proverb, or asking our guests to do so, is the diversity they bring into the interpretation. Yes.
That's true. That's true. And it's relative, actually. You can relate, you can see where it's going. Now, we have heard of the Boma Hospitality College.
Yes.
There are people who don't know the international bit of it. Boma International Hospitality College. There's what it talks about. There's what it means. You'll tell us more about it. What we have seen is we see, students from Boma Hospitality College have won awards. Boma Hospitality College, where are they? Are they based at the Boma Hotel? Where exactly is this college? What do they teach? What do they teach? So just introduce us to this Boma International Hospitality College. What is it?
So if you recall, Latiff, some years ago, Kenya Red Cross started getting into commercial businesses. And about 20 years ago, and people were a bit crazy saying, why is humanitarian organization getting into businesses? And at the time, my message was that Red Cross is a humanitarian organization, relies on public funding and government funding, relies on international funding from UN agencies and donor governments, but at the same time, it was not reliable. Within its constitution, nothing stopped it from seeking to raise funds locally, from the local population, from the government, but also for them to get to do businesses. And they could do business as long as every penny that you made, whether it's profit or a dividend, then it goes back to the humanitarian work of the Red Cross. So we started with the hotel business of the Boma group of hotels that we have 3 today in Kenya. Then we went to the ambulance business, which was more related to the core business of the Red Cross, but also there were commercial ambulance services. The third one was then the school, which is what I will talk about in a minute. And the final one was the TV station called Switch TV. Now, while on one hand the idea was to raise resources, and if you made profit, you give it back to the Red Cross for its humanitarian work. Because every time there's a disaster, people expect the Red Cross would respond. But then people wonder, where do you get the resource to respond to these emergencies? So before you even went to the government, before you launch an appeal, before you go to the public, you are ready to start. Because when disasters occur, you need to respond now and now. So that is the idea of setting up these businesses with a clear mind that should you make money, every penny will go back to the Red Cross for its humanitarian work. So that's how the business was started, and I can talk about each of them eventually. But going specifically to Boma International Hospitality College, the precursor to it was the hotel. When we set up the hotel in 2007, which President Kibaki opened the first one, which was Boma Inn Hotel, and then when we go to the 5-star one, Nairobi Boma, again in 2013, it was President Kibaki who also officially commissioned it. We had a problem in recruiting staff. So the staff we had to poach from other hotels all over the country. And when we brought them together, we had a challenge to develop a culture of the Boma culture. If you talk about Serena Group of Hotels or Sarova, they have their own tradition and culture because of their many years of existence. They have inculcated their culture. You go to Pakistan, you see Serena there, the culture is the same as here. You go to Maputo, the same as here. So we wanted to have the Boma culture. And one of our CEO at the time told me, old man, if you really want to have the Boma culture, then my advice would be to start a school. And I said, a school? He said, yes. And I said, but there's other schools in the country. He said, the more the merrier. And on the other hand, there are a lot of Kenyans of means who would take their kids abroad to Switzerland because it would say that's global home of hospitality. So I was very happy to take up the challenge, and within a short time we set up in 2015 Boma International Hospitality College. We partnered with a Swiss school initially, and in May 2015 was our first intake of 37 students, or the first class of intake. Today, 9.5 years later, the rest is history. We get about 650 to 700 annually now as an intake. And we do 3 intakes in a year. We do January, we do May, and we do September. And from the humble beginning of 37 Kenyan students, today we have had over 30 African nationalities who send their kids to our school. And the numbers are increasing, and the offering is increasing. We offer 2 diplomas. It's a 2-year course of diploma in culinary arts and in hotel management. The diplomas we offer is Kenyan diploma through TVET, and we offer a Swiss diploma through our partners in Switzerland. So we're saying kids don't have to go to Switzerland and pay $35,000 to $50,000 annually, whereas you could come to Nairobi, and as an African student for $10,000, you would get the same education, same curriculum, same diploma. Or if you're Kenyan, then you pay roughly about 500,000 Kenya shilling. You'd get the same diploma after 2-year training here.
So do you get the 2 at the same time?
You get the 2 at the same time.
So when you graduate, you get a Kenyan diploma and a Swiss diploma.
And a Swiss diploma at the same time. And that is the advantage that we have of any other school in this country and on the continent, because of the relationship we have with our Swiss partners. Now, it's a pathway also. So when the kids do their diploma here, 2 years, then they can go and do their degree 1 year in Switzerland. Or you do it here in Kenya with Kenyan universities. We have Malaysian universities. We're now negotiating with South African universities. We're offering our students as wide variety as possible, that within 3 years, or max 4 years. For example, now with USIU, they will do 1 year progression. With Strathmore, they will do a 2-year progression. With Malaysia, they will do a 2-year progression. We are discussing with UK universities, which will do 1 year progression. So again, in 3 years, someone has a degree in hotel management or in culinary arts, whichever line they choose, and that's done here. So in the 9 years we've been existent, we have graduated over 4,000 students. And today you can find the footprint of BIHC, Boma International Hospitality College, in all the 5 continents of the world. People who have been through this school who are now working out there globally, apart from those who are working here in the country, working in this continent, but also globally in the US, in Europe, in Asia Pacific, and we're very happy with the outcome so far.
I'm curious, what is this culture that you wanted to inculcate that would be specific to Boma?
The Boma culture will be unique to Boma, just like I said about other brands of groups of hotels. When we service above all. So when you come to Boma, you would feel at home, you feel most welcome, you feel you are wanted, respected, valued as a customer, and that the young people appreciate the job they have, the training they've had, the knowledge they have, and putting the customer above all others, so that the person can come back and back and back to this hotel and these facilities. Our idea was in the long run to grow and become Pan-African. So in all the 4 businesses that we have set up, whether it's a school, whether it's the hotel, whether it's the ambulance business, or even the TV station, was to make them Pan-African in the long run. But they're all focusing around young people too. When I was with Red Cross, one of the major challenges I had in the many years I was with Red Cross was the issues to do with young people. And today we're seeing manifesting itself in Gen Zs and many other things. A lot of young people felt and appreciated and welcomed, and many of these, and we can say, if you look at this country and you look at the continent, over 70% of the population is below 35 years of age. This is the youngest country in terms of population, it's the youngest continent in terms of population. Yet they are the bulk in the Red Cross, Red Crescent, they're the bulk of the workforce, both boys and girls, young men, young women, and women are the majority in terms of membership. But they are not out there in the leadership. They don't feel appreciated, not feel recognized. We can call them Al-Shabaab, you can call them Boko Haram, you can call them all the mannerism you want to call them. But what was the major issue? The major issue, they feel unwelcome, they feel unwanted, unappreciated. And if now what manifests ourselves in our country, and I don't want to go there because I don't want to get into those discussions. If we appreciated them, if our economies and countries were well managed, well governed, we won't be where we are today. These young people who die in the desert, in the Sahara Desert, who die in the Mediterranean Sea, called migrants. What are they running away from? They're running away from poverty and economic hardship in our continent. Because we as leaders and as parents and grandparents, we have mismanaged these countries to the extent that these young people parents have to sell everything they're left with to give one child a chance to go make it big time in the global north, which many times it ends up in the black market, and they're abused and they're killed and many other things that you can talk about. And then those who pick arm. And I was involved for many years with the Red Cross, Red Crescent. So I understand, having worked with some of these issues over the years, I felt that education was very important for young people. If we educate them, they have even a basic diploma, Kenyan diploma, Swiss diploma. Now they're going to Europe through the front door and not the back door. Okay? They don't have to bribe anyone to get these jobs, because now jobs are looking after them. Employers are looking for them. In the Middle East, in the Caribbean, in North America, in Europe, Europeans would want qualified, educated people to go through the front door. We had migration 500 years ago of European coming to Africa and to the rest of the world. Now it's a reverse migration, where we're looking for greener pastures on the other end. Yet it's not that green. It's more green still in Africa. But because we have failed these young people as leaders, as government, as politicians, as businessmen, businesswomen, then obviously we're in the chaos or mess that we are in today. So doing this school for me was the best thing that happened. To look at these young people, to look at how, well they're doing wherever we've sent them today. They go to the U.S. after they graduate from here. They go to the U.S. on what we call J1 visa. So they can go and work for 1 year in some of the best restaurants, some of the best hotels, some of the best golf clubs and lodges for 1 year. They come back. Then they can go back again to the US and Canada if they want to, or go to Europe. So again, through the front door. And for me, that has been the different, Eric, which for me is really satisfying to see that even with the diploma, the global market for hospitality, we saw after COVID, it was terrible. But now it's opened up again. There are cruise liners, ships coming to the Kenyan coast every day looking for people to hire. We don't have enough to give them. And this is where the government should be putting measures in place to as many people who have the qualification who want to go work abroad. You look at Philippines, a country that specializes in labor migration, where they send people globally to go and work, and they bring back resources. Today, you are told that the revenues coming to this country from Kenyan diaspora is much higher than agriculture and tourism. Okay? So how do you grow that space? Through this kind of schools and institutions, you can grow. And we're not competing locally, we're competing globally. Because the competition is out there. Sometimes we are so inward focused that we look at smaller picture, not the global bigger picture.
So we forget about what's out there. So the job market is global.
Yes.
And what you're training at the Boma International Hospitality College is for the global market.
Precisely.
So how do you harmonize that curriculum? How do you know what the global market is looking for? And how do you compact that into 2 years of training?
So by partnering, first of all, with the Swiss Hospitality School, they have their global program, curriculum, which has been approved at their level, and we use the same here. You know, the beauty of education is that today, if you remember what the late Professor Magoha used to say when he was Minister for Education and Honorable Matiangi, they talked about our type of education that we offer. And where a lot of young people come out with lots of degrees and even PhDs, but out there in the market, they're unemployable. Okay, so our curriculum and our program is such that it is competency-based education. It's all about hands-on knowledge and no theories. A lot of universities here offer degrees, even in hospitality. But these young people have never been inside a hotel or inside a kitchen, inside a bedroom to know what to do. Okay, but in our context, it's simply on competency-based. The TVET one, so we follow the TVET curriculum. We are regulated by TVET. So we are the Center of Excellence for Hospitality and Hotel Management and Culinary Arts. This school is recognized by TVET, probably the only one. We are ISO 2015 certified. We have just been recognized recently as polytechnic status, would be the first private polytechnic in Kenya. They're now working through cabinet to have that thing formalized. We are now a center for recognition of prior learning. There are people with lots of skills, hands-on skills, but don't have the paper qualification. So we've been recognized by TVET as a center for recognition of prior learning. So today we can get people and train them the theory aspect to link to their practice so that they now have formal education, if we call it formal, so they can have that. But so the curriculum is such that you are doing a diploma, it's a 2-year, you come in the first year, you are in class for 2 semesters or 2 terms. The 3rd term, you go out now to work in the industry for a particular whole term. You come back term 4 and 5, you're in our hotel. So we have 2 hotels within the complex of the school. You have a 3-star hotel and a 5-star hotel in Boma. And that's the way I think the best practice they can get. The next term, 6th term, they go out again to practice in some of the 5-star hotels around the country or regionally. So it's very much hands-on training. Skills-based training is what we are giving. And after the 2 years, then they are examined, both practical and theory, and they pass. Then they continue with their education.
Let's take a break. We'll continue this conversation shortly. It's 29 minutes to 10. Dr. Abbas Gulet is our guest today. He is currently the CEO of the Boma Pan-African Limited and director of the Boma International Hospitality College, which we're talking about today. I'm sure, Dr. Gulet, with all this recognition, and now that you're working with TVET closely, you also, and just by your own nature, you're involved in trying to see how even other colleges that are offering hospitality are able to match up in terms of the quality of the students that they produce. I'll ask you that question after this break.
I will too.
You'll ask the same.
Yes.
In fact, you will ask the question. And as we go to the break then, Anki Doris, tell us about the Aga Khan 53 outlets.
Oh, yes. And when we started earlier on, of course, your greatest wealth is your health, so take care of it and guard it the best you can. But we said there are 54, except those, of course, the main one. But because they're not just clinics where you get a nurse and a clinical officer, you actually have a neurologist, you have an oncologist, you have a dentist, you have a nutritionist. They're all there, one stop. But now this time just closer. So Aga Khan is, of course, reminding you that you are able to first check your health, whether you're not feeling any migraine or headache, go there and just check yourself. But also if you're feeling any of those symptoms, you have that Aga Khan clinic right next to you. But there's a special one in Roysambu, where we can also have some minor surgery. So if you're somewhere along Thika Road, please just holla and go check out, of course, that particular hospital and the clinics that have come near you. Take advantage of that. Aga Khan giving you the quality medical services near you now.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Do you want to live out your life with the utmost convenience? A way of life that is empowered with the necessary tools and solutions to live out your life effortlessly? Then wait no more. Download Loop today and enjoy the best mobile money and banking worlds through a simple platform that delivers payment, credit, and saving services, while at the same time offering personalized journeys and deals to complement your interests and needs. Why wait? Just Loop it. Tune in to the Situation Room every morning and Spice Drive from 3 to 7 p.m. every Monday to Friday and learn more about Loop.
Seal the deal every day with the all-in-one plan from Safaricom. Get data, minutes, and SMS all-in-one on-the-go monthly bundle plan from Safaricom. Tune into the Situation Room every Monday to Friday as we unpack the all-in-one monthly plan from Safaricom. Safaricom is for you.
The weather with SpiceFM.
Okay, how's it looking like in Kakamega? It's sunny at 22. In Eldoret, it's sunny at 17. Mombasa is sunny at 27. Malindi is a sunny morning at 29. It's also sunny in Kisumu about at 25. Sunny in Nakuru at 19 and 17 in Nyeri and Kakamega 22. How's it looking like in Kampala? 22 and sunny. Highs of 27 later. It's hazy in Lagos. The coronation of the king has just made the entire Nigeria hazy. 26 degrees in Lagos and highs of 31 later. Johannesburg, sunny at 21. Mogadishu, mostly sunny at 30. Addis Ababa, sunny at 16. Dar es Salaam is sunny at 27. Paris, mostly cloudy at 8. London, partly sunny at 4. New York, clear skies at 9. And Beijing is a sunny afternoon at 23.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Back with our conversation with Dr. Abbas, who is the CEO of Boma Pan-African Limited, Director of Boma International Hospitality College.
All right, indeed. And of course, I'm enjoying the conversation. It's a great opening for young people. We're always looking for opportunities, empowerment, and just be able to put your life together. I think that's one of the, headaches, if I would call it, for young people right now. But we were even talking about, today is the International Day of the Girl Child. And there are a lot of conversations on, empowering the young people. Some would be listening to you right now and they're saying, do I even qualify to be in this particular institution? What does it mean to be an entry point for them? What does it take? What do you look at for someone to be marked qualified to join? And I think pretty much for me it is the qualifications and entry points, because there's so much information on social media. But to hear it from you today would be quite an advantage for the listeners, especially the young population this morning.
So we're open to all students. Anyone who wants to join the school is most welcome. The minimum qualification we take is C on all your O levels. If you don't have C or you have anything below it, you can also do a bridging or a foundation course. And once, if you make it through the foundation course, then you can be admitted. But we also take kids from, like I said, from all over the continent. So sometimes, of course, the conversion could be a challenge, but as long as one is willing then to do the foundation or the bridging course, then you're most welcome, and you can do that. Sometimes we have had people who have the qualification, unfortunately they cannot afford it, and we've been asked many times, do we have scholarship, can we sponsor people to come? Today maybe we're not in that position fully, but that is our intention. We want to set up a scholarship fund which can take bright kids who qualify to join the school but cannot afford it from not well-off families. I'm not going to open the door, but there's cases that are so obvious that these kids are bright kids and they can make it. I'm not going to say tomorrow come to me, but I can say apart from sending my own son to this school who is just about to finish his 6th semester, which is his 2-year training, I had to support a very needing child that I decided to pay for myself. So if there are Kenyans of means who want to sponsor kids that cannot afford, we must welcome. And for me, the story of this young man who was a watchman somewhere but had done all levels and had C+ but couldn't afford it, and and wanted me to help him to get a job. You know, people come to ask you, can you get me a job? I said, what did you do? And he said, I finished all levels. When? Last year. What did you get? C+. So why aren't you in school? Shida mingi, my family can't afford this, can't afford that. I have to wait for 2 years to get into university. So I said, okay, do you want to go back to school? And he says, yes. So without thinking, I put myself in trouble of having to pay a second school fee. But I'm happy he's just about to finish his first year.
Right.
So now he'll go for his second year. He's on an internship now.
Right.
So there are many Kenyans I know who can afford to send a child that is not yours, but it's a Kenyan and a needy Kenyan, as long as they have the basic requirement or the minimum requirement for them to join. So I would say, please think about it. If you can afford to sponsor a child, please do so.
What's your capacity? How many can you hold?
So today we are, for those in college and those outside on internship, we're about 1,000. Okay? Sooner or later, the space will become too small. We will have to look for green fields to put up a much larger school because it's demand and supply. So the demand is there. The supply will become an issue. We have to build many more kitchens. For example, now we have 4 kitchens that can take, 3 can take about 84 students at a go. So we have our school operating from Monday to Saturday afternoon because of the demand for culinary arts. Culinary arts is our most popular course, which is the cooking, both for male and female. Whereas in Europe, our partner school, they have more management students. We have the opposite in Africa, and this is what we are seeing everywhere. So today we're looking at expanding our facilities, not only in this country, but there's demand regionally. I was in Zambia about a couple of weeks ago, where we're discussing with a Zambian businessman and the Zambian government about setting up hospitality school there. We have requests from Djibouti to see if we can set up one there. We have requests from Cote d'Ivoire in Ivory Coast. I mean, the hospitality industry is growing by leaps and bounds globally. So this is a very good cause and industry to get into.
Are you teaching the children how to cook African foods, or are you teaching them to make croissants?
So, croissant would be very important to cook anywhere in the world. But good question, Eric, because 4 years ago, the late Professor George Magoha was our chief guest as the Minister of Education at our graduation in 2020, the year of COVID, first year of COVID. And he was very particular about COVID, and but he agreed to be the chief guest as an educationist. And during the graduation, he threw out a challenge to us in the school to say that, first of all, I don't think he was talking about the quality of education and the competency-based education, which was his one of the big things that he talked about. But the challenge to us was, look, for your culinary arts students, they don't need to do masters and to do PhD. What they need to is to go and work with Michelin star chefs, which are the top number of highest qualification is Michelin star, star 1, star 2, star 3, globally. And he said that comes through practice, and that comes through innovation and through thinking. And he challenged us to say, look, I've been to many parts of this world, and you hear about European cuisine, Italian, French, Chinese, Africa, probably Ethiopia, Indian cuisine. We don't talk about African cuisine. And he says, I'm sick and tired of going to hotels, even here locally. We don't seem to be proud about our own cuisine. So his challenge was, I want you, Goulet, this school, to look at this subject matter of African cuisine. And I love challenges, and a challenge from him was well received, well accepted. And in the last 4 years, we made it our business that this school teaches African cuisine. And the term 5 students, 3 times in a year, because there are 3 different intakes, they all have to do a whole term of nothing but working on African cuisine. So we've had many African cuisine. We've had last year a big African conference where the 500 guests or 600 guests that were entertained on African cuisine. The deputy president was the chief guest. We do this on timely basis. So for 4 years we've done this, and we believe now we understand what African cuisine is, because we teach European cuisine in the school, but we're not teaching African cuisine. So So we decided as a school to take this to the next level. Apart from teaching in school, we decided to have the first ever African cuisine competition here in Kenya, which we will do it here in Nairobi next week from Monday to Friday. And we will have 2 categories of this competition. We'll have schools in Kenya, and we have 14 schools that are going to take part in this competition. And then we also say we go to the main industry now, to the hotels. So we have 10 hotels and restaurants in Kenya and 1 in Ethiopia that have confirmed their participation. So we wanted to go slow this year, be a Kenyan-based one, but next year we want to go big way and be Pan-African. So for us, African cuisine and bringing in fusion, whether it's, this country with 43 ethnic groups. If you go to Kenya and you go to every little community and sit with them and look at what they do, the food they cook, the ingredient they use, the resources they use, from the farm to the table, you would be shocked at the rich, diverse history that we have, which we're not very good at promoting. We're very good in eating fish and chips. We're very good in eating, the pastas and all that, and Chinese, but we're not very good in our irio and mudokoi and mukimo and samaki wa kupaka and all these things we talk about.
Abbas nikulize.
Naam.
Yes, others Africa.
Yes. So, are we saying that there's a menu if I came to Bomas?
Boma.
Boma.
No, when I say Bomas, it's one of the many hotels.
Okay.
Yes. If I go to Boma, is there a menu that I will get that offers me African cuisine?
So what you have in many hotels in Nairobi, on a particular day, depending each hotel, if you come to a Boma hotel, every Wednesday, they have what they call kienyeji. And that kienyeji is our local foods. Kuku, Wednesdays. Kuku ni yule anasema free range.
Roadrunner.
Okay, roadrunner.
Yes.
Na hizo vitu zingine zote zinakuwa hapo. Hiyo siku. But as a school, we made it our business that it is part of the curriculum of the school.
Nice.
Right.
That they are taught as they get out of that school and where they go in the industry. Now it's them kuendelea na hiyo kazi ya to perfect, to bring in innovation into the African cuisine. And they should be very proud as Africans. So the idea of the competition is also to create more awareness. So these chefs who are going to come next Friday to compete, that's what they will be doing. The schools, they'll have 3 days. We prepare them because they're younger kids. We're training them, prepare them. Then they have 2 days of competition. But next year, it will become a Pan-African. This time, it's only Ethiopia that will come and join us, and Ethiopian Airways, because we've had partnership with them. We've trained the largest African hotel on the African continent is a hotel called Skylight Hotel in Addis with 1,124 rooms. Skylight Hotel.
Skylight is that big.
Yes, 1,000 rooms in the 2 big towers and 124 inside the airport in Bole.
Right.
So we trained, we won a contract as a school last year, and we trained 900 of their staff out of 1,200. And the hotel today now is the #1 hotel in Addis.
Daktari, you're going big, and I'm excited first to be an African, and I'm so excited to go and look at that menu together with CT. I know you'll take care of that bill. But in Africa, it's not just about how tasty the food is. It's how you serve it as well. And I'm curious to understand, because you're talking about a culture.
Yes.
So how you serve is another thing.
Sure.
Do you also include in your curriculum the professional attitude evaluation? Is this something you look at? Because sometimes we don't go to certain hotels because of how you were first received, how you were served. And it's an African thing that the hospitality is top notch. How is that in the institution, in that particular attitude kind of training professionally?
So the 2 courses we offer, one is culinary arts, which is the art of cooking.
Yes.
And it's an art. The second one is in management. And within management, we have service. So service is part of the students who are doing management also do service. So in this competition, there'll be 2 people in the competition.
All right.
One is a chef who's actually going to do the actual cooking and the presentation. Right. And there's even an art on how you present that food.
On the plate.
On the plate.
Yeah.
Nice.
But there's also an art now how that is served.
Okay.
How the food is served, the mannerism, whether it is now the food, whether it's a water, whether it's a wine, it's an alcohol, it's a soda, whatever you drink, there's also an art that how that is done. So the two come together, and there'll be teams of two that are part of this competition. So on a regular basis, if you came to BIHC every day from 12 city to about 1 o'clock, we can invite you. You don't have to even be invited, but you can make a book and you come and have your lunch there. So you'll be served what we call fine dining.
Right.
So fine dining is part of the training that is given to
At
these
the
young
college?
people. At the college.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So you come every day, Monday to Friday, from 12 to 1, utakula chakula. It may not be an African, whatever is served on that day is a 4-meal course. So the fine art of now service is there.
Great.
So the question
It's
too is
holistic.
about the uniform. You see, people wear white and all that. There's etiquette on colors and what have you.
Yeah.
But even in this competition next week, it will be all African.
So
we
even-
also
even how
color.
you dress.
How you dress even becomes part of the competition.
Very good.
This is exciting.
The schools that are participating, when you say school, what do we mean?
Colleges, universities, and schools. So they're
Who are in this line of business?
who are in this line of business. I mean, Kenya has got many hospitality schools. They're already offering Maseno University, Mount Kenya University, Nairobi University, Jomo Kenyatta University of Agriculture, a lot of them. And then there are private individuals, HTMI, Top Chefs, and many of them.
Amazing.
Even Utali. So a lot of them have been invited. So 14 have confirmed their participation. But in the next competition, we will probably have other schools from the African continent also coming on board. Yeah.
What do you hope the impact of this to be when you bring in the other schools that are teaching hospitality?
It's about learning.
The hotels that are
Eric is
practicing.
about learning. You know, it's about we as Africans, first of all, having pride in our culture, in our tradition, in our foods, and we don't feel that we have inferior. In fact, we have better and much more diversified food and spices that we use. If you look at the Ethiopians, they do. If you look at Ghanaians, if you look at Nigerians, what they'll bring onto the table will be different. So it's about cross-cultural learning that we want to learn, but we want to say you are coming to Africa from, let's say, the bigger tourist eye, what we call Europeans or global north. If they come here, they don't want to eat their pastas and their French fries and the fish and chips and what have you. They should eat ours, but ours also, we should now make it such flavors that they would feel that this is what we want to have when we're in Africa. And we should be proud ourselves, first of all. So it's giving ourselves our dignity back to say, look, we want to promote what is ours. You're coming to visit us, you're most welcome, but on my account.
You know, a thought occurs to me. I'm looking at all the embassies we have across the world.
Yes.
When we have our national days.
Yes.
What if bombers, that if they're already doing it, they're wonderful. Because the embassies have to have cooks.
Yes.
Yes.
They have to have people who can cook. Wouldn't it be nice when people visit our embassies? Because I'm saying this because every time I go to an embassy or I go to the residence of an ambassador, the food I eat is theirs. Okay? What if we did that? Or are we already doing it?
So, CT, very good point. There's some things I can divulge, some I can't. I can tell you, for example, for free now, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, we have 10 of their staff who are now being trained at BIHC for 1 year.
Amazing.
For 1 year. But that point, I take it, and that's a challenge maybe we need to tell the government.
Yes.
And go to MOFA and tell MOFA, this is what needs to be done.
Yes. So that's when we have our national days and people come for the Kenya National Day,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
and you're told in advance what it is you're going to eat.
But having lived abroad and having been to many of our own national days,
yes,
one good thing is Kenyans, we are very good and we are true nationalists when we are outside Jomo Kenyatta International Airport. The moment we land here, it becomes something else. But when we are out there,
we are Kenyan.
We are Kenyans and proud to be Kenyans.
And we have the
Okay,
respect.
and we bring our own food because we cook and we bring food into the embassy. A lot of Kenyeji.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I like that what City has brought on board because it's a nice conversation. My mind is opening up as well.
Yes.
Perhaps this would be a good idea. You know how
Sure.
those who love wine would do wine tasting,
Yes.
etc. What if at one point in time we just come and taste this cultural foods encourage us.
Nyama and Muratina
but-
pairing.
Yeah, pair it, you know. Kangwashe and Naganile, Ujile.
Chai uji ya
Yeah,
wimbi.
and just Kenyans interact with that because for the longest time, I know we have continued, even in tourism. Kenyans are always told, oh, come on and practice ecotourism. Please visit somewhere. Please. It's been very difficult, but it's getting better by the day.
No, we have to have that. And
Yes.
we have to look at positive things. I mean,
Yes.
there's been too many negativity in this country
Yeah.
in the recent past. You know, the other day, my colleagues, my staff brought me, when we were talking about this competition, and they brought me a set of cutlery on the table. And I said, what is this? They said, look, we're talking about innovation. And it was a cutlery made out of wood. Soup bowl, plate, small plate, side plate, big plate, fork and knife, everything.
All
cutlery.
wooden.
All wooden. Done by a Juakali person. So I told them, okay, we're going to serve this on the day of the competition. So go make 70 sets. The only thing I always said, hygiene-wise, what do we do? They said,
Yes.
you will not be worried. We'll clean it. We'll put olive oil around it, and the plate would be as clean.
Okay.
So, I mean, you know, just as a small thought.
Yes.
What were we eating traditionally, our forefathers and grandfathers? What were they eating? Pots and pans that were?
Wooden.
It was wooden or
woods.
earthenware.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
So why do you have to have Chinese ware?
Yes, because you see that
Wow.
the same art that produced the pots is the same art that produced what we now call plates.
Yes.
Yes.
It's the same. Something to also think about. You know, one of the places that people enjoy Kenyan cuisine, when they go to the 5-star hotels, you know, you'll be given a small bit of ugali, circular ugali, but vibandas. Chakula ya kibanda in Kenya, you're
Mamantilies.
eating Kenyan, mamantilies. How do you incorporate them in this competition? Maybe for future.
So today we haven't, but we want to go out and do as much. But now we have a number of restaurants that have shown interest, and we told them, let them come. Okay?
Yeah.
But in the long run, when we have the national one, we should go all the way to grassroots. I mean, if I had my wish today, I would go to every county, all the 47 counties, have your competition there. Bring the winners to come, and you end stage by stage until you come to your final that now will represent Kenya in the global Pan-African competition.
I'll tell my friends Lilian at Mama Oliech and Ronaldo Foods wakuja hapo waongeze competition.
Sawa. Wanakaribisha na mikono mbili.
Somebody's asking about the fees for BIHC.
The fees for BIHC for Kenyan is about 500K per year.
Okay.
That includes their lunches, their coffee, 10 o'clock, 3 o'clock, and both tuition and everything that's included. For non-Kenyan is roughly...
Maina's accommodation.
Maina's accommodation. We don't do accommodation. Accommodation, we partner with Kwetu. I don't want to get into housing. That's not my core business.
Yeah.
So Kwetu is there, and we refer them. We have an MOU. They would get good rates, including transport to be dropped in the morning and in the evening.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But non-Kenyans is roughly about double the price, about $10,000.
Okay.
Yeah.
Somebody, Edwin, is saying that's crazy.
The amount.
Yeah.
For today's world, probably yes, but if you want to get a quality education and you get 2 diplomas, both Swiss and Kenyan, that's the price today, unfortunately. Yeah.
For that price, you are marketable internationally.
You get 2 diplomas.
Yes, yes.
In a very
And if you look at the process that we're told, you intern here, you intern abroad.
Yes.
Yeah.
By the time you're through with the form, yes, you actually can work anywhere.
Anywhere in the world.
Yes.
We have kids in UK, kids in Spain, in Germany, in Netherlands. We have kids in Dubai. And during the World Cup last year, we had about 46 of our students who went to Qatar to work in 5-star hotels.
Wow.
We have kids in Maldives today. They intern there and they hired there. We have kids in Dubai World Trade Center, where our 50 or 60 kids are working there. Dubai is our biggest number of kids were there, but now we're looking at Saudi market, we're looking at African market, we're looking at global market.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So basically, you this is something that exposes you to the world, not just local.
So today we are
Don't restrict
clearly
yourself.
number one school on this in this country, in this region, and on the continent of Africa.
It's a good thing. In just a short 9 years.
Yes.
Very well done, Abbas.
I'm
Very
looking
well done.
forward to more.
Very well done. 9 years, over 4,000 students have graduated from the Boma International Hospitality College.
And we have our next graduation on the 15th of November this year, where about 350 kids are going to graduate.
And every year, you're about 650 to 700 students
coming in,
enrolling.
Yes.
3 intakes.
Yes.
From 30 African nationalities.
Yes.
Thereabouts.
Yes.
That's a very good thing. Dr. Abbas Gulet, always a pleasure having you in any conversation.
Thank you for
And this was a
having
good one. And I can see this is good retirement for you.
Yes.
Right? It's giving you're feeling that you're enjoying giving back to the young people.
No, for sure. And I think this is what we should all be focusing on. As I said, there's been lots of negativity in our country over the last many years, and which is very sad. This country needs to compete out there globally, and we should not take it for granted that, where we were 10, 20 years ago will still remain there. There are many other countries that are coming back. If you look at little Rwanda on the other side, and I don't want to say little, but it's a smaller country compared to us in terms of geography and population.
Yes.
But you have a government there that is focused on mice and conferencing. If you look at the basketball court they have for NBA Africa, 10,000 indoor facility. If you look at conferencing with a convention center they have built, which is more modern, they are working on that. We need to stop talking here and acting in this
We
country.
need to start doing.
Yes.
Viva.
Dr. Abbas Gulet, CEO, Boma Pan Africa. No, let me say, Dr. Abbas Gulet, OGW, MBS. They should give you EBS now, Move on to the next one. You're now elder of the Order of the Burning Spear. He's been our guest. He's the director of Boma International Hospitality College, telling us about what they've been doing and the competition that will be happening next week. Thank you for tuning in to Kenya's biggest conversation this week. Anki Doris has been our guest host. Next week, you're back. Monday.
I love that.
Very
I
good.
love that.
Very good. Have a lovely weekend. Enjoy yourselves. Bye.
It's now 10 o'clock with Safaricom. Go monthly with an all-in-one bundle and enjoy convenience and value with Safaricom. For just 2,000 bob a month, enjoy 17 GB data, 1,000 minutes, 2,000 SMSs, and free WhatsApp. Go monthly. Dial star 544 hash and select Go monthly. Safaricom is for you.
News from around the world. 94.4 Spice FM.
Good morning, this is Newsworm Dennis Aseto. President William Ruto will be meeting with the visiting acting Haitian Prime Minister Gary Conley, who is in the country for a 4-day state visit. Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi welcomed Conley after he landed at the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport Thursday. Conley is expected to hold high-level bilateral talks with President William Ruto surrounding strengthening security